It's another beautiful day for baseball from the Sunshine State. Today, spring training action on ESPN features two of the National League East power brokers. The Phillies and Ryan Howard, trying to regain their championship swagger, are in Orlando to take on Jason Hayward and the Atlanta Braves. Major League Baseball spring training on ESPN is presented by Head & Shoulders. We've got the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves for you this afternoon from ESPN, A Wide World of Sports here in the Orlando area. Just 2 weeks remain until opening day. These two teams, of course, will get their fill of one another during the regular season as well. Hi, everybody. Dan Schulman, Oral Hershiser. We'd like to welcome John Kruk to the Sunday night team this year. These are two good teams, two rivals, and two teams obviously excited about the 2013 season. Atlanta really excited about the additions they've made in the outfield.
Unbelievable additions, and they needed some right-handed pop in that lineup to go with all their lefties. So what do? They go out and sign B.J. Upton as a free agent. You knew Tampa Bay wasn't going to keep him. He comes here. He has athleticism with a lot of power, but a lot of strikeouts, but he will steal a lot of bases, too. And then they go get his brother in a trade, Justin Upton. He's the power guy in the family. This guy can hit balls a mile. And with Justin Upton and now Jason Hayward and B.J., this to me might be the best outfield in the National League.
The Phillies are excited about some of their new faces, but really a huge key for them, their veterans, will they be healthy? And so far, so good for a guy we're going to see today in Ryan Howard.
Yeah, Chase Utley, they're excited about him at second base. He won't be here today, but Ryan Howard at first base, if he can return to the production that he has, and especially in batting average and on-base percentage. Last year, 57 hits in a half a season, but 56 RBIs. He's always been a run producer, but he's got to get his average up. His on-base percentage was under 300. His batting average was just barely over 200. And for me, he's stronger in the legs. He's not rehabbing, and he's starting to use left field again. Beware, National League.
The Phillies a 500 team last year, obviously a great run before that. Atlanta's a perennial contender, so big things expected of both of these teams heading into 2013. We'll see one of the aces of the Atlanta rotation. Chris Medlin will be on the mound today for the Braves as they take on the Phillies. The first pitch is coming up. And welcome back to ESPN Wide World of Sports. We're ready for baseball. Got the Braves on the field. We got Ben Revere of the Phillies in the box, and Chris Medlin's first pitch is in for a called strike. Medlin coming off a sensational year last year, especially when he became a starter in the last couple of months. As Revere lifts a fly ball, pretty well hit to left field. That's Justin Upton back to make the catch for out number one. Oral, what made Medlin so good last year?
Location, location, location. He's like real estate. Young man got to the big leagues. You know, it's pretty tough, John, when you come to the big leagues and the only 2 months you've been here, you were pitcher of the month. Comes up at the end of
I couldn't answer that question.
July, August, and September. Pitcher of the month, 9-0. Unbelievable.
And no talking about what his role will be this year. He is a fixture in the Atlanta rotation heading into this season as Kevin Franzen steps in and takes outside ball one.
Medlin was a college shortstop and a reliever at the end of the games, and the Braves saw him as a pitcher. And that's where he has been. A reliever in the minor leagues. Only had like 240 innings in the minor leagues.
That's why I like him. He didn't come up as a pitcher.
But does that mean you're eventually going to dislike him?
No.
No?
Because he's an athlete.
Yeah. Well, Freddie Gonzalez said to us he can swing the bat, he can hold runners, he can field his position. He values all those things.
This is going to be a battle all year, Dan. Pitchers are athletes. Especially ones that can throw change-ups like that.
2-2 the count on Franzen, hoping to stick as a utility guy, utility infielder for the Phillies. Chase Utley not in the lineup today for the Phillies. Franzen chases, the tag applied, 2 down. Let's check out the rest of the lineup that the Phillies have brought over from Clearwater. Michael Young, who's coming up right now. He's going to be the regular third baseman for the Phillies this year. Had an off year last year, but a career .301 hitter. And Dominic Brown, who's been such a big name, a big-time prospect in the Phillies organization for a number of years. Truckee, looks like he's ready to make a breakthrough.
Yeah, and he's made a lot of changes in his approach at home plate. He's lowered his hands, and he's talking to this man hitting right now, Michael Young. They locker beside each other. Michael Young told me today that he's constantly in his ear asking questions about hitting, approach, what to look for, and he said he's really become a student of hitting, which he wasn't in the past.
Young coming over from Texas after all the years with the Rangers. In the last few years, he's been bounced around a little bit. Different infield positions, a lot of DHing, but it looks like he's going to be the regular third baseman for the Phillies. And he's spending a lot of time taking extra ground balls with third base coach Ryan Sandberg. Another good changeup there, and the count is 1-2.
And perennial, a 50 Gold Glove winner Mike Schmidt has also been in camp helping him.
Charlie Manuel says he could envision hitting Young second, third, or fifth. A lot is still up in the air in terms of how the Phillies lineup is going to be made up. 3 up, 3 down in a hurry for Chris Medlin. And we'll see the Braves coming up when we come back. Freddie Gonzalez ready to go for the 2013 season. He's got a good team, and he's excited about their prospects heading into the year. Of course, they lost in the one-game playoff last year, but they have added a little bit of thump. A lot of changes for the Braves. Of course, Chipper Jones is retired, and Martin Prado went in the trade to Arizona, where Justin Upton came back to Atlanta. Of course, he brings power and speed. He'll play in left field, and his big brother B.J. Upton is the center fielder signed with the Braves. So, as Crucky said, with the two Uptons and Jason Hayward, you got power and speed and athleticism, a pretty intriguing outfield group.
It really is, and it's going to be so much fun to watch. And I tell you, Oral, as a pitcher, you'd have to like three guys who can play center field, but three guys who can go get them at their positions.
I'll tell you what, they're not going to have gaps out there. They're going to have very narrow alleys. It's going to be tough to get the ball between those guys.
Rodrigo Lopez is on the mound today for the Phillies, and it looks like he's going to be a AAA starter for them. Guys like Lopez and Aaron Cook held in a reserve in case something happens to one of their 5 regular starters. Lopez, 37 years of age, an 81 and 89 lifetime record with 6 different major league clubs, including the Phillies a few years back. And it's outside ball 1 to Tyler Pasternicki, the shortstop today for Atlanta. Banks the ball to center field. Revere back over his head. And Pasternicki, who's having a very good spring, lines one to straightaway center field for a leadoff double.
Just trying to break on top, get your legs under you, and you hear one of your maybe second to last outings just going a little fastball away. I think it kind of reeks back over the middle of the plate. Pasternicki put a nice swing on it and drove this ball over Revere's head. Hit it where it came from and hit it really hard.
And this is where the WBC's helping Pasternicki a lot, because Simmons is out playing for the Netherlands team. It's still in it, and he's getting a chance to get a lot of at-bats to impress the brass here.
Yep, Anderson Simmons looks like he'll be the regular shortstop for the Braves this year. He'll be back in camp at some point in the next few days, win or lose for the Netherlands, as Jason Hayward, the number 2 hitter, pulls a ground ball to the right side. He's not your typical number 2 hitter, Crucky, but he moves the runner.
Yeah, and that's a great job. The thing you want to do is get Pasternicki over to third base with less than 2 outs, with the Thunder coming up in this lineup. And Hayward possesses Thunder too, but when you're playing unselfish baseball, and this is the question you had with this team, can they produce runs when they're not hitting homers? I think Jason Hayward hitting second right there just proved that he can do that.
The deeper we get into spring training, the more the managers like to see that. Early in spring training, you kind of hit for yourself, get your swing together. But as we get now creeping inside a 2 weeks to opening day, it's playing the game legitimate.
Now Justin Upton. Upton last year hit .280 with 17 homers. The year before hit .289 with 31 home runs. Steals bases as well. Had 18 last year, 21 the year before. And you look at the power and speed and the left-right lineup that Freddie Gonzalez has right now. And here's a ball just absolutely crushed. Wow. Over the hill, way beyond the fence in left field. Didn't you describe him as having light tower power a little bit earlier today?
Wow, it's just such a beautiful swing that Justin Upton possesses, and when he stays consistent and when he stays where he needs to be, these are the things that can happen. I mean, Rodrigo Lopez is trying to get that ball in off the plate to hope to jam him and hit a little grounder to third base. But look at this swing. The little leg kick, the quick stride, getting the foot down early and getting out in front of one. That's a mid-season swing right there, not a spring training swing.
So 2-0 Atlanta on what had to be a 450-foot home run by Justin Upton. Here's Freddie Freeman. Justin and BJ playing on the same team. BJ's in the on-deck circle right now. Freeman with a 94 RBIs right now. He's hitting cleanup today, but remember, Brian McCann is not on the lineup. He's coming back from shoulder surgery as BJ loosens up in the on-deck circle. They hope to get McCann back around the middle of April, 6 months to the day from the surgery. So then, I mean, McCann, if he hits cleanup, maybe Freeman moves down to the 6th spot. It's a pretty good 6-hitter, just to keep the lefties and righties alternating throughout the lineup. This has a chance to be a really good offensive team.
We
We haven't mentioned Dan Uggla and his power, possibly hitting 7.
Yeah.
McCann's workout today, he got out to about 120 feet throwing. And he's coming along just fine.
I watch him in BP. He's swinging it pretty good, too.
2-2 to Freeman. And a breaking ball outside. Let's go down to Buster for more.
That today he got out to 120 feet, he told me. And, of course, that's the big question about him now, is getting his arm strength back. He's still aiming for mid-April. Crucky, he's been hitting like crazy for about a month.
McCann, because of the shoulder, he played through it last season. But because of that, his numbers well down from his career norms. He's been as good an offensive catcher as there's been in baseball the last 6 or 7 years. He's a free agent at the end of the season. But you stick him in there along with the Uptons, and if you get another typical year from Freeman and from Uggla and from Hayward. Here's B.J. Upton. And you can see why Freddie Gonzalez is excited about his team. They know they've got a lot of competition in the National League East. The Nationals were really good last year and maybe even deeper and better this year. And Freddie thinks the Phillies are going to have a good season as well. You know, if Howard and Utley are healthy, and they've had good springs so far. Young over for a look, but won't have a play.
These two Uptons, the potential that they have, Justin with his power, BJ with his athleticism, and he looks a little calmer already to me at the plate than he was last year. He's calmer in the batter's box. There's always been a lot of moving parts with his approach, and he gets a little frisky in there. You're not sure his eyes are staying still enough and gets jumpy at the pitcher, but right now he looks very comfortable in the box, and his brother, after that light tower power shot, that was pretty comfortable also.
Going to be some pretty healthy competition between the two of them, you would think, during the year. 1-1 pitch, throw down to first, and diving back in safely is Freeman. Let's go down to Buster again.
Dan, the Braves actually had interest in bringing Michael Bourne back. They talked to him last spring. They couldn't work out an agreement, and when the offseason chase began, they aggressively targeted B.J. Upton. They actually outbid another team by about $20 million for him. That would be the Philadelphia Phillies.
And the Phillies eventually getting Ben Revere in the deal with Minnesota. Revere can really go get him in the outfield. Great speed. Not sure he's going to get to this one, though. This one is over his head. Freeman's on his way to third. He'll be held there, and B.J. Upton doesn't quite hit it out of the ballpark like his brother did, but he lines one to center for a double.
He's going to have to hit the weight room to catch up with the little brother, isn't he?
Made the same sound, though.
To me, the big thing with B.J. Upton is when does he get his foot down because of that unusual leg kick that he has. But he's shortened things up a little bit, like you said, Oral, and he's just basically picking that foot up and dropping it down. He still has that waggle thing going, but that's a timing mechanism. When it's good like this, it's very good. When it's bad, it gets pretty bad. But that was a nice one right there.
So the Braves really hitting Rodrigo Lopez hard here in the first inning. Pasternicki has doubled. Justin Upton has homered. B.J. Upton has doubled. Dan Uggla, big swing and a miss.
Well, this is a situation that I was talking to hitting coach Greg Walker about cutting down on strikeouts, putting the ball in play with less than 2 outs, runners in scoring position. He said he works with them individually to zone in, to rein in their strike zone, but as a group, they're telling him make some contact, put it in play.
Okay, now let me ask you about the individual at the plate. Is he going to do that? Because that's not his reputation is swing as hard as you can in case you hit it, and then it's going to go a long way.
Well, he said, hey, I don't care how hard you swing. You better put it in play, though, because he definitely needs to cut down on strikeouts, but he doesn't want to take away their aggressiveness, he said. And Uggla could be that guy that could give him some fits this year.
Big power, but big strikeouts as he takes the breaking ball down and away. 2 balls and a strike. Freeman at third, B.J. Upton at second, just 1 out of the inning. The infield is back. 2-0 Atlanta already. And the 2-1 curveball for a strike, 2-2.
Rodrigo Lopez out there struggling a little bit right now. This is a big outing for a veteran. At 37 years old, you're trying to make a team, you're trying to make an impression, you're a spring training invitee.
And so this is not just, oh, I'm getting my work. He's trying to prove a point either for the Phillies or some other organization.
Misses high, a full count. He's made 3 spring appearances for the Phillies before this one. 7 innings, no earned runs. The 0 ERA has gone by the board today. He also made a start for Mexico in the World Baseball Classic.
Is that one he hit 500 feet considered an earned run? Wow.
Swing and a miss, and Uggla's gone 2 down.
This will show some scouts and Charlie Manuel over there that Rodrigo Lopez still got a good breaking ball. This is a little 12-6 curveball. Think about the clock. 12 down to 6, straight down on the outside corner. Uggla committed. Gets him out in front. Good depth. Good pitch. Sorry, John Kruk. I know you don't like us pitchers and good curveballs.
Well, that's the thing with Dan Uggla, what you're going to get. It's home run or an out. And, that's a situation with the infield back in the middle. You just hit a ground ball. You advance a runner to third, and you score a runner, and you have a 3-run lead instead of a 2-run lead.
2 on, 2 out. And the batter was Juan Francisco, the third baseman, and he lines a base hit into center field. Freeman in to score. B.J. Upton will come in behind him. And Francisco, who's having a big spring as he battles Chris Johnson for the third base job, singles in 2 more to make it 4-0.
We talked to Freddie Gonzalez before the game about that third base situation. He thinks it might end up being a platoon situation. He likes both of their glove about the same, but offensively, Francisco hitting from the left side. Johnson hits from the right side, who he's kind of battling out with. They'll both make the team, but that right there, he stayed on it. It was kind of a change-up up. He was out in front, but the height of the pitch gave him a chance to get the bat on the ball and force it up the middle.
So 4 runs off Lopez here in the first. Here's the catcher, Matt Pagnozzi. If the name is familiar, he is the nephew of former Cardinal catcher Tom Pagnozzi. Matt's been in the big leagues with the Cardinals and a couple of other teams. Not a youngster, as you can see, 30 years of age. And the Braves with McCann not yet catching, not yet playing in the spring. Taking a look at a couple of other people. And he lines a base hit into center field. And they are getting their cuts in against Lopez.
Other than the curveball, the fastball and the changeup aren't fooling anybody. He hasn't really hit the corners, and that's where he's really made his living as he's gotten to be a veteran. He's a location pitcher. In his prime, he was kind of since we have the Braves here today, he was the poor man's Greg Maddux. A little movement and location, but never really attained what Greg did.
His longevity wasn't as good.
So here's Medlin getting to bat in the first inning.
Or when a pitcher comes up in this situation, you're frustrated. You've given up 4 runs, 5 hits already in the inning. He threw a pitch right down the middle to Medlin. He was swinging. He could have caused some damage there. Just when you have to tell yourself, I better be careful.
You got to bear down. You want to get out of the inning. I can remember a few times in this situation where Tommy would even have me sacrifice bunt with 2 outs just to work on the bunting here. As you just work on your bunting, because you're not going to hit very well.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 2 out, 1 out, whatever. Just get a bunt down, get in the dugout. We don't need you up there swinging and hurting yourself, running the bases. Just put a bunt down.
What makes you think you thought you were going to get a hit?
I wasn't going to get a hit bunting.
Then you didn't have to worry about running the bases.
You're going to be invited to my office this year. I'm going to show you the Silver Slugger.
Is that from 88?
3 for
no, it was
60.
later. 90.
What'd you hit that year?
Like 320.
Did you really?
I can't remember. I almost set the National League record for pitchers.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry.
Didn't Strasburg hit 370 last year or something?
Yeah, he was pretty good.
With power, too. You didn't have any power.
I never hit a home run.
Base hit, Medlin.
Oh, boy.
Francisco slowed up around third, but is safe at the plate as the ball bounces away. Pagnozzi takes third, and it is 5-0 Atlanta.
When you're on second base and you check the outfielders, and as shallow as they were playing for Medlin, I don't think Francisco thought he would get waved, so he just anticipated holding up at third. Ended up being a close play because of the hesitation. He's out by a mile.
Perfect throw by Ruff.
Not by a mile, but just jars it loose.
Yeah, a lot of bad things happened on that play. Francisco's base running, first of all, by just taking for granted he wasn't going to be sent. Never take for granted. You know, that ball's in front of you. You should know if you can score or not. But the third base coach, you know, look, let's take a chance. It's a pitcher hitting. I know the left fielder's playing more shallow, but let's take a shot and see. Ruff's not known for a great arm, so you take a chance. He made a great throw, should have been out, but they were aggressive and they paid off for the Braves.
Scoring on the play is a base hit and an RBI for Medlin, and then Pagnazzi goes to third on E2. So it's first and third, 2 outs, 5 runs in for Atlanta already, and Tyler Pasternicki's up for the second time in the inning.
We might see a breaking ball first pitch since he got a hit on the fastball.
See, now if you knew he was going to throw it, why didn't the hitter?
I don't know. Just know the mind of the pitcher. Spring training, when you get up in the bullpen this early, you were labeled a jick, just in case, when they put the roster up in the morning.
And another hit. And another run. Pasternicki, 2 hits in the inning, and it's 6-0.
Just ruined our score pad. Batting around stuff already.
He might hit for the cycle in the first inning. I know he's a veteran pitcher, Lopez, but I mean, is this one of those you just chalk it up to a bad outing, or is this one of those where the Braves are showing you that, you know, maybe
he's auditioning?
I know, and that's the toughest part.
But he hasn't made a lot of quality pitches, you know. Most things have been thigh high. We've seen one breaking ball down to Uggla that was a good pitch on the strikeout, but other than that, he's been center cut. Maybe
he should pitch around everyone to get the Uggla again.
High fly ball center field. And the inning is finally over. The Braves rough up Rodrigo Lopez for 6, including a monstrous home run from Justin Upton. This telecast of MLB Spring Training on ESPN is presented by Head & Shoulders for Men. Live flake-free. And in part by Marie Callender's Pot Pies. It's time to savor. With Oral Hershiser, John Kruk, and Buster Olney, I'm Dan Shulman. Spring training action from ESPN Wide World of Sports, the Braves and the Phillies. Ryan Howard is going to lead it off for the Phillies. He'll be followed by Dominic Brown and then Darren Ruff. Howard last year trying to get back from the Achilles injury of a year before. Hit just .219, 14 homers, missed about half the season. And again, if you're just getting into baseball, just getting into the Phillies, what's going on in camp? As Howard spanks one into right center for a base hit. Probably the best thing to come out of Phillies camp so far, guys, is that Howard and Utley not in the lineup today, but Howard and Utley appear to be healthy.
I'll tell you what, that big fellow there at first base, if he's in the middle of the order, and Chase Utley, they probably missed out on about 40 home runs last year from the two of them combined, and maybe 120 RBIs. But they both, when they were in there healthy, they're producing some runs. And Charlie Manuel's very excited to have those big fellows back.
Dominic Brown is the batter.
I mean, they both got only like a half a season of at-bats.
Yep. Let's go down to Buster for more on Ryan Howard.
Dan, Howard told me that his injury and the time he spent away from baseball was actually a mixed blessing for him, because he got a chance to go back and look at videotape and basically refocus on taking the ball through the middle and to left field. He said, that's when I've been at my best. I'm not going to worry about the inside pitch as much as I have been the last couple of years.
All right, Buster, thank you. And as we all remember, when Howard was at his best, he was hitting a ton of home runs to left field, left center field, not trying to pull everything. Now, another good thing that's going on this spring so far for the Phillies is the guy at the plate right now. They've been waiting, Crucky, for Dominic Brown to make that jump. Is it happening?
Well, it's a game of adjustments. You'll hear us say that a lot, and he has made a big one this offseason just by lowering his hands. He got eaten up inside by any pitcher who could have had any bit of a fastball. You see now he's lowered his hands basically to shoulder length. He can do that right there, hit the ball the other way, which he couldn't do because he was so conscious of the inside pitch. He's covering every pitch right now, and the Phillies think that this is the year that he can turn around and be that star player that they thought he had. When your hands are held high, if you're not dropping them down like he wasn't doing, you can't get to that pitch. That's just a great piece of hitting right there. Really, you'd like to try to hit the hole between first and second with the runner on first, holding them on. But he couldn't do it with that pitch. He was already behind the strike, so let's hit it the other way and start to get an inning together right now, down 6 runs.
2 on with nobody out, 6-0 Atlanta in the second. And the batter is Darren Ruff, who last year hit 38 home runs at Double-A. And if you know Charlie Manuel, you know he likes guys who can hit, and this guy can hit. He may not be ready to break camp with the big club yet. It looks like Dominic Brown is going to be a starter. Could be right field, could be left field. They've still got John Mayberry Jr. Delman Young is recovering from ankle surgery. He's not going to be ready to start the season. They've got Lance Nix as well, so they're still kind of piecing together the corner spots.
And Revere will be the fixture in center field. Will help any of the defenders, but the Philly defense in the outfield might be a little skeptical as we go forward.
Yeah, Ruff not known for his work with the glove, and certainly Delman Young isn't either. So
Dominic Brown is, got a lot of athletic ability, but a lot of times he can clank a ball. He can roll through his legs every once in a while. He just needs a little more concentration using that potential out there. And one of the worst labels you can have in baseball is potential.
Just hit one in the barbecue tent. It's not nice of him. Just ruined some good barbecue out there.
Are you asking for permission to go down and make sure everything's okay down there?
I'll go check on it.
Fair ball. Howard around third will come in to score. Brown to third. Ruff into second. And the Phillies on the board trailing 6-1.
This is a rarity for Chris Medlin. He didn't get to back up any bases last year, so this is good spring training workout. He didn't want to give up these hits, but I'll tell you what, just to jog off the mound and go get behind home plate a little bit. I think he leaves a breaking ball up here, if I saw it right. Yep, kind of backed up on him and came on the inside. That's a backup breaking ball. Mr. Achilles got a little gimp in his giddy up there.
It might just be habit.
He just home run trot.
No, from running with it last year.
Yeah.
Might have just his knee just doesn't bend anymore, along with the Achilles.
There's Unieski Betancourt, who's playing short today. Jimmy Rollins is back from the WBC, but he's reportedly playing in a minor league game today, and then is going to rejoin the Phillies after that, as they gave him a couple of days off after the WBC. Betancourt most likely either heading to AAA or auditioning for other teams. Liner to left. It's going to drop in front of Justin Upton for a base hit. Brown to score. Ruff to third. 6-2.
Both these starting pitchers have kind of been leaving the ball up. I think this is a high changeup to Chris Medlin left up, and you leave the changeup up there. Sometimes it's hit a long way, and this one wasn't hit super hard, but because it's left up, he gets him out front, but just enough to extend and just kind of one-handed out there to left field. If that ball's down, and roll over it for a ground ball. When it's up, you get him a chance to hit in the air, hit the outfield grass.
So 4 consecutive hits to begin the inning. After Medlin was staked to a 6-0 lead, he actually got a base hit in the bottom of the first. Now he's struggling here in the top of the second. Check swing foul off by Humberto Quintero. The catcher today for the Phillies, remember, Carlos Ruiz is going to miss the first 25 games due to a suspension for amphetamines. So they're going to be without Delman Young for a while, recovering from the ankle surgery, without Ruiz for the first 25 games. Hard hit ball and another base hit. 6-3. And Ruiz is a guy, Crucky, I mean, even though he's gotten a lot more attention the last couple of years, it still seems like he's underrated in terms of the value that he brings to the team.
Yeah, and I think because there's, a couple really good catchers in the National League that we talk about. You talk about McCann offensively and Yadier Molina. The whole package is a catcher, but, Carlos Ruiz has put himself into that competition with those two gentlemen as far as being an offensive catcher who was first great at handling his staff, great at the catch and throw. Now the offense is catching up to the defensive part, and that's why he's one of the 3 or 4 best catchers in the National League. Of course, with Buster Posey right near the top.
Lopez gets the bunt down, and they'll get the lead runner. Then the ball's thrown away. So Quintero will wind up on third. Lopez, a fielder's choice, as he can't advance the runner with the bunt. First and third, 1 out.
That was a nice call by Matt Pagnazzi behind the plate to get Medlin to throw that ball to third. It's a tough play, but when you have an ex-shortstop from college on the mound, he gets off the mound well, and the spinning throw is not an adventure for him because he used to play in the field. So there's a nice turn and throw there to get that out. You see that runner bearing down on third. It's hard for those catchers to pull the trigger to tell him to go to 3, but when it's a force play like that, you can make that late call.
So first and third with 1 out. You can see Pagnazzi out from behind the plate, giving the rest of the infielders their set of instructions here. We've got Lopez at first. We've got Quintero at third. And back to the top of the Phillies order for Ben Revere. Revere lifting a fly ball to left field his first time up.
We got the little...
Now the pitch will squirt through Pagnazzi. Quintero holds at third, but Lopez into second. The previous play, a fielder's choice and an E5 on Juan Francisco. And now a pitch gets away and allows a runner to advance. So some sloppiness here in the second inning for Atlanta.
Usually you see games like this early in spring, not as we get closer to opening day, where the pitchers aren't fine and some of the fielders are not doing a real good job.
Right center field, and it drops between Hayward and B.J. Upton. Quintero will score. Another run is in. Boy, we've had an error and a wild pitch and now a dropped fly ball in a span of about 2 minutes here.
Well, that's just nothing but miscommunication by the two. And look, you can say what you want. They whether new, they haven't worked with each other. This is Little League. This is, I got it. And once the center fielder calls it, everyone backs off. The problem is, I think B.J. Upton, in my opinion, called it, so Hayward did back off, but B.J. couldn't get to it because it looked like it was starting to slice away from him or hook away from him from the left-handed hitter. But look, they have a lot of time. They'll get this thing ironed out, but that's a play. You can't say that spring training's the issue with this play. It's just miscommunication.
So 3 botched plays in the inning defensively for the Atlanta Braves, and they're expecting, as you guys said before, they're expecting great outfield defense because of all the ground that all 3 outfielders can cover. Here's Kevin Granson. It bounces one up the middle and into center field, a base hit. Lopez, the pitcher, will stop at third. Revere will stop at second. And the bases are loaded. 6 in the bottom of the first for the Braves. And the Phillies might do better than that here in the top of the second.
Well, that could have been easily an RBI for Kevin Franson, but Rodrigo Lopez, who was on second base when Revere got the base hit, didn't advance to third base. Not really helping himself in a lot of ways, is he?
No.
And guys, Medlin's given up 7 hits this inning. Big swing and a foul back by Michael Young. When there's 4 runs in, the bases are loaded, and you're the only guy who hasn't swung the bat yet in the inning. You want to go up there swinging. You want to get in on the action.
Well, that's Michael Young. Now watch him try to take an inside pitch and shoot it to right field. But that first pitch, he was trying to go grand slam.
Right center. Slicing back toward Hayward, who makes the catch. Lopez will tag and come in to score. And a sac fly by Young that makes it 6-5.
Quite an adventure around the bases for Rodrigo Lopez. You mentioned second. Now here he is tagging. Now Jason Hayward throws this ball into third base, but I mean he's usually when you run you're supposed to breathe a little bit.
Those cheeks puffed out.
Yeah, apparently he was respecting the arm of Jason Hayward from 400 feet away. I've had some of those adventures around the bases. I led off with a double once. It took 3 hitters to get me to third. One grounded out to second. One hit a base hit to left. It was awful.
What was going on? Why weren't you advancing?
It was a short hop to Robbie Alomar, who I wasn't going to run on the first one.
Ryan Howard with a pop-up. This could be an adventure. Francisco goes back and makes the catch, and finally the inning is over. Medlin gives up 5 runs. Didn't get some help from his defense either, and it's a 1-run game. Tough spring for the Yankees, to say the least. The injury to Granderson, the injury to Teixeira. And the Yankees, you see some of the guys who are still on the roster and the number of players they still have in camp. It is quite un-Yankee-like, really.
84 players, I think, still in camp, and they're trying out for first base. They're trying out for the outfield.
Hate to be a BP pitcher in that camp.
Never end.
Never end. Yeah, we got 70 guys hitting today, boys. Let's go get them.
Well, just between Teixeira and Granderson, you're talking over, probably, I think, almost 70 home runs, 68 home runs last year. Out. Alex Rodriguez not there.
And Russell Martin and Raul Ibanez and Eric Chavez and Andrew Jones, and a lot of home runs gone from last year. I believe the Yankees have hit fewer home runs this spring than any other team, for what that's worth. As Justin Upton takes high ball one. Upton with an incredibly deep home run his first time up. Out to left field and way up at the top of the hill. I think it rolled down the back of the hill, which has to be 50 feet beyond the fence. I wonder if, people at home or people at work or watch ESPN and they're, getting excited for their fantasy baseball pools and they see a guy hit a home run like that, and does everybody make a little note to themselves? Note to self.
He's going to have a big year.
3-0.
One of the more intimidating things for a pitcher is when you have a power hitter that looks locked into the box, and that's what Justin looks like. He is so calm in the box. He's not flinching as the ball's in flight. He's just very much in rhythm.
Let's take a look in case you weren't with us in the first inning.
That was just a mid-center cut and over the hill. A little Sparky out there almost got a hit, and then whoever his guardian was out there decided to slide down the hill. Looked like we were in Williamsport.
Big Sparky was more interested in the baseball than Little Sparky.
Yeah.
I think Little Sparky wasn't getting a whole lot of protection.
Hey, you never know when.
Freddie Freeman, fly ball, rough back, and it pops out of his glove and over the fence.
It won't be the first time you see that today. If you watch the highlights, that'll be on everybody's highlight reel. What's the sound we make, John? Clank.
Well, we mentioned his defense is considered a work in progress, that he is known for his bat. And this is not what you want to be doing when you're trying to make a ball club.
That's what they call on the bench surrounding it. And then without the deflection. It's a little wind blowing out there left.
That's where I would have played that into a double.
B.J. Upton, ground ball to short, one down. Did he try to sell it after it was over the fence? It looked like he held up his glove for a second, as if he were saying to the umpire, I got it.
Well, there's a lot of times that ball hits in there and you do think you have it.
Watch this when he sits down.
No, he knew he missed it.
8-5 Atlanta. Bottom of the second. Douglas spanks a ball to left field. This one he's got.
That's right, 50%. Some of us made a living out there doing that.
Crucky, you were a good fielder.
Yeah, right.
You had this all the way.
I tell you, left field to me was the hardest outfield position to play. And I did play them all, if you want to check it. Center field was probably my easiest. I only played a couple games there, and no one hit me the ball. But it's just, to me, it's harder because of, I have no idea why. It's hard to explain. Ryan Klesko and I were talking about it today. He was a great outfielder in his own self. Not really. But we were talking about it today, and he said when they put him in right field in San Diego for a while, he said it was just like you were out in a different place, in a different stadium, and everything was so much different because of angles and different things. But to me, left field was far more difficult than center and right.
I think it mattered because you had the glove on your right hand.
I never gave that any thought. No, maybe that's it.
I don't know. Just way the ball curved to where the glove is.
Bouncing ball to Howard, backhanded smartly.
Not a bad inning, only 2.
And an interesting 2 at that. 8-5 Braves. This telecast of MLB Spring Training on ESPN is brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. And the United States Marine Corps. The few, the proud, the Marine. Dan Schulman, John Kruk, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney with you at ESPN Wide World of Sports, the spring training home of the Atlanta Braves. And what a couple of innings we have seen. 8-5 going to the third. Dominic Brown, the batter. And he fouls one back out of play. Rodrigo Lopez and Chris Medlin are the starting pitchers today. Neither one of them having an enjoyable afternoon thus far. Brown had a base hit and scored his first time up. Out in front there, and it's 0-2.
John, you talked about them lowering his hands to get better on the inside pitch. I heard they had loosened his grip up. I think our Buster Olney said that. It's going to make the bat go through the hitting area a little bit more accurately and quicker.
And that was, to me, the big key. You know, once you get to the big leagues and they find a weakness, they exploit it until you make changes. And I mean, you watched Dominic Brown hit last year, and granted, he didn't have a ton of at-bats, but I mean, they were just going inside at will on him, and he didn't have any defense for it.
As mentioned, it looks like he's going to be a regular for the Phillies this year. They haven't decided yet whether it's left field or right field. Sharply hit ground ball, but right at Ugla at second, one down. Out recorded for Chris Medlin, who after Tommy John surgery a couple of years ago started off last year in the bullpen. Freddie Gonzalez telling us before the game that Roger McDowell, the pitching coach, said to him, Freddie, as soon as you put him in the rotation, you're not going to take him out. They put him in on July the 31st, 12 starts, an ERA under 1. National League Pitcher of the Month in August and September. And that really filled a huge need for the Braves down the stretch as they were battling for playoff position. And he will be a mainstay in the rotation, obviously, going into this year.
You watch an outing like this today, and there's real no concern about Chris Medlin. He's just not hitting his spots today. He's going to get his work in. Yes, the competitive juices are going out there, and he'd like to be pitching better, getting better results. But that curveball right there was the pitch that really came back after the Tommy John surgery, because he was able to not only rehab the elbow where the Tommy John surgery was performed, but get his shoulder stronger, get a little higher there with his delivery, and really be able to bite that curveball. He said that was a huge improvement after the surgery.
Foul ball.
He's got the two-seam fastball, what he relies on. He has excellent command on both sides of the plate. He'll throw that little comebacker to lefties inside that Greg Maddux used to throw. And then he can also got the outstanding changeup and then the curveball. And this spring he's also trying to work on a four-seamer, maybe up in the strike zone, maybe change the hitter's eye a little bit. He keeps the ball down so well, he feels like he might need that weapon.
Yep. Got him. 2 down.
That's that little comebacker. That's more of a changeup at 81 miles an hour. Starts in the left-hand batter's box and just kind of fades and hits that outside corner.
Well, how much is it the first inning was such a long inning for the Braves, and he had to sit and wait after warming up, coming out for the first inning where he was just as good as he can be, and then the second inning was a disaster after the long wait. Is that a big issue?
It could be an issue. You can lose your rhythm waiting so long, and the hard part about it, everybody at home might say, well, why didn't you go to the bullpen and start throwing a little bit more? You do that if you get to a place where you really feel insecure, but sometimes you don't know when that out's going to come. You'd be able to sneak down there and quickly get some tosses in, and all of a sudden, you're on your walk down to the bullpen or back, and the inning's over. You just kind of hang in there.
The bullpen's like a nice little 9-iron away.
For you, that's a half wedge.
Yeah. I'd shank it off the center field hitter's eye. I can guarantee you that.
Time called. 0-2 the count on Betancourt, the Phillies shortstop. A couple of quick outs for Medlin here in the third.
You have a traveling 6 handicap?
Depends on where we're traveling to.
Toward the right field corner, a fair ball. Betancourt continues to swing the bat. He's 2 for 2. We mentioned he's a non-roster player, and he's got a clause in his contract. If the Phillies don't commit to him by March the 24th, he can opt out, go try to find a job on another major league team. It's got to be an odd situation Crucky, when you know you might be playing for the eyes of the other 29 teams more than the one you're actually playing for, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing to me is spring training is a place to showcase, especially when you're a veteran guy like Betancourt. You understand you'd love to play for the Philadelphia Phillies, but you also understand Jimmy Rollins is going to play every day. And so if you want to be a backup guy, then you come and be a backup guy. The great thing about it is Jimmy Rollins at WBC missed a lot of time. Betancourt's getting his reps. He's getting his ABs. He's given every other team a great opportunity to showcase what he still has left in the arsenal. And anything going by today, he's doing pretty good.
Pop up near second. Pasternicki there to end the inning. No runs, a base hit, and a man left. We're going to keep it here this break as we go to the bottom of the third with an 8-5 lead for Atlanta. Freddie Gonzalez, the manager of the Braves, is going to join Buster Olney momentarily. We've seen Medlin. Let's show how the rotation shapes up for the Atlanta Braves. They've got, of course, Tim Hudson still going strong. You've seen Medlin, Mike Minor, Paul Maholm, and maybe the biggest news of these five has been made by Julio Teheran, who's been a big-time prospect the last couple of years. Had a rough year at AAA last year, but he's having a great spring training, and looks like he has taken command of the 5 spot in the rotation. Let's send it down to Buster.
Hi, Freddie. Thanks for coming over. Chris Medlin, one of the best pitchers in baseball last 2 months last year. What can you expect from him this year?
Just a solid year, going out and getting 35 starts, which he hadn't done that. But last year, boy, he was really good the last half of the season. So we don't expect those numbers that he put up there last year are crazy type numbers. Just a good, solid 35 start season and get us to about 200 innings and keep us in the ballgame.
Today we saw Justin Upton's big-time power. What have you learned about him that you didn't know before he came over?
Well, I mean, I was always scared to cross the dugout every time he came up to the plate, but now we got him in our dugout. I've loved the young man. I think this guy's got some intensity to him. He's been able to pick up left field with no problem, and he's a middle of the lineup type hitter. And I think this guy's a limit. I think this guy's a potential guy that could win MVP. I think he's got a chance to make a lot of All-Star games.
What kind of timetable you got on Brian McCann?
Well, we're shooting for the middle of April, but we'll see. He's been hitting. If you didn't know he had surgery in the offseason, you swore this guy, he hasn't missed a beat hitting. Throwing is going to be the last part that comes, and we know that because of his throwing shoulder. So whenever that comes around, we'll be ready to put him back in the lineup.
Freddie, thank you. Dan, back to you. All
right, Buster, thank you. You can see there's a lot of optimism, a lot of possibilities for this team again this year. Freddie Gonzalez is excited about the acquisition of Justin and B.J. Upton, giving them an outfield with a lot of speed and a lot of power. But this is the first year in forever that they don't have Chipper Jones. Chipper has retired. And there are big expectations, as we mentioned, for Chris Medlin, his first year in the rotation. And we should talk about Chipper a little bit. Not only is Chipper Jones retired, Martin Prado went on the deal to Arizona for Justin Upton. Some quality guys like David Ross and Eric Hinsky. There's a change in the talent, but there also kind of has to be a change in the leadership and the dynamic in the clubhouse, doesn't it?
Yeah, and to me, that falls directly on the shoulders of Brian McCann. When your catchers, arguably was their best player for a long time for the shoulder injury. He had a poor season last year, but I think Brian McCann has to be that guy that steps up and takes leadership of his teams. He's been here the longest.
And I think those 3 outfielders are going to have a lot to do with that leadership in the clubhouse, too, because they're going to work as a team out there on their defense. They're going to be all hit near the middle of the order, and there's going to be a lot of chemistry with those guys. Every pitching change, they're going to probably gather out there in the outfield and be talking about the team or what direction they're headed. So they'll be a big voice, I think, also in the clubhouse.
And, Dan, to me, this lineup is better than it was last year, of course, with the Upton brothers, but they have consistency now. And by that I mean, with Chipper, hitting third or fourth in the middle of that lineup, you didn't know if he was how many games he was going to be able to play because of his age, because of his injury issues. At the end of his career, these guys are young and they're going to be hitting in the middle of that lineup, so they're going to be out there for 150 games.
And a new pitcher for the Phillies now. Colton Murray is into the game, 22 years of age, from Overland Park, Kansas, a 13th round pick back in 2011, a minor league call-up for today. Spent most of last year in A-ball for the Phillies. So Rodrigo Lopez goes just 2. Ground ball to Howard, and he feeds Murray covering for the out. go back to the Braves and look at their projected lineup, and this could go a number of different ways. Again, remember that McCann, as we mentioned, is not expected to be back until the middle of April. So Laird is going to be the number one catcher for now, but McCann's going to go in there somewhere. Plus, at third base, you could have Francisco, Johnson, or a combination of the two. Let me ask you guys this. You've got Hayward, Freeman, McCann, three big-time left-handed batters. Crucky, do you think that Freddie Gonzalez wants to or should? As Medlin lines one into right field, and he's 2 for 2.
He might hit Medlin second.
Do you think that Freddie Gonzalez is going to separate those three left-handed batters, whether it's 2-4-6, 3-5-7, whatever the case?
I think to me it's depending on the pitcher. If you have a righty who's like a Matt Cain who goes deep into games, gets you 7 innings, you might want to stack the lefties, to break up, from having a right-left thing going on, but make it so it's more difficult to pitch around one of the lefties. But I think you can go any way you want with this team, because Freddie Freeman, to me, looks like he can handle lefties. And, Brian McCann's as good as anybody, so I think there's really no difference.
Fly ball to deep left center off the bat of Pasternicki for out number 2.
The only thing you might see is that, different parts of the season, if guys are a little nicked up or they're having trouble handling, they're in a slump, where Freddie will have the options to move them around. But I tell you what, the key to this Braves team for me on the offensive side is the strikeout. And it was really nice in Jason Hayward to see him get that routine out, his first at bat, move the runner over so that they could score the guy with less than 2 outs from third. But they're going to have to keep their strikeouts down. This is a swing and miss ball club, or it could be.
Hayward's 0 for 2. It's got to be strange for some of the guys who have been around a while, whether it's players or coaches, just to not have Chipper Jones there. He was in camp for a few days as a guest instructor in the spring. You're talking about a guy who was there forever. Won an MVP, won a batting title, was part of a World Series team. I mean, anything you can do, Chipper Jones did.
First ballot Hall of Famer for sure. Really, you have the Bobby Cox exit, and then you have the Chipper Jones exit.
And we haven't even mentioned how good he was at third base.
Well, base hit for Hayward.
Well, Jason Hayward possesses a great swing and so powerful. It hits the ball. When he squares one up, he hits it as hard as anyone. But you see the stance. The hands are moving. The short stride, walking away from his hands by pulling them back while his foot's going forward. And then a bullet. And Ryan Howard's the happiest guy in the world. He got to play behind Medlin right there, because that's scary sometimes. If you don't pick up the ball immediately. I remember Bobby Bonilla hit one at me. I was holding someone on, and it almost hit me in the head, and I jumped, which was really stupid. It was off the wall by the time my feet hit the ground. I can't jump high, World.
Well, you get a few more white shirts here in spring training, too, and that's got to be hard for you guys with the fans that close.
Well, old Jack Russell, we were so bad we didn't have anyone that came in Clearwater, so the seats were silver.
Oh, perfect.
It was awful. It was awful. Throws from third from Dave Hollins, I couldn't see. Well, that's how we came up with such a great relationship.
Justin Upton again. His second home run of the afternoon.
Freddie Gonzalez's manager said lots of all-star games in his future and maybe an MVP. Well, he's playing like one today.
This one stayed on the right side of the hill for the fans out in left field.
Apparently they're trying to sneak that same fastball by him at 92 this time instead of 88.
Firm right front side, just torquing that thing.
Just so powerful lower body, his hips and his legs, and just generates so much speed. And you look at Hayward, Justin Upton, and now Freddie Freeman up right now. You have three guys that hit it as hard as anyone.
Dan Uggla, when he squares it up pretty, hits it hard too.
Wow. One hopper to second. Inning over. But Justin Upton does it again. 11-5 Atlanta at the end of 3.
to 75, 80 pitches, get into the 5th or 6th inning, get his work in. Next one, get to 100 pitches, and then he's ready to go.
So you saw his body language coming off. He didn't seem too down about it.
You know what? You're not happy. You're never happy. But again, this is the work you have to get in spring training.
Right. All right, how are the Diamondbacks doing? Upton didn't at all last year have a multiple home run game. He obviously has 2 bombs today. With Kurt Schilling, Carl Ravitch here in our Baseball Tonight studios. Dan, back to you.
All right, Carl, Kurt, thank you very much. John Suomi just came up as a pinch hitter for the Phillies and struck out against Chris Medlin for the first out of the 4th inning. Also fouled a ball off over the third base dugout where a fan reached up, made a great grab.
Web gem of the year so far, since this is our first telecast, right?
The first of many. Back to the top of the order for Ben Revere.
There ain't been any web gems in this game yet.
No, that is the truth.
Got a little blooper in left field by Mr. Ruff, knocking it over the fence.
Doesn't qualify, World.
I know.
Revere shortens up and takes a strike. Revere's a guy, if fans haven't seen a whole lot of him with Minnesota, I mean, he could really go get him. Great speed, no power at all, but he's going to steal a lot of bases, and he's going to cover a lot of ground in the outfield. Minnesota trading away Span and Revere. They're both now in the National League East. Span with the Nationals and Revere here with the Phillies.
And Revere's probably going to hit 7th, 8th, or 1st.
Nice play by Medlin, showing some of those former infielder skills. Well, Charlie Manuel said that Jimmy Rollins will be back with the team probably tomorrow, if not Wednesday. And then for the next few games, he's going to alternate Rollins and Revere. 1, 2. He'll switch them back and forth and decide if he likes the look of either one of those lineups. And again, he said Michael Young's a guy who could conceivably hit second, which would mean presumably Rollins would lead off and Revere might hit down in the lineup. So he's still trying to figure out the composition of the batting order.
I'll tell you one thing about Charlie Manuel. He's not going to break up the 2 lefties, is he, Utley and Howard? And even with a quality hitter like Michael Young.
Franzen tries to bunt his way aboard. Ball came up, hit him, but he was still in the box at the time.
But Charlie's got a chance to have a healthy lineup with some parts that he can move around and shake it up. And they were just trying to find some bodies last year all the time to get in that lineup.
And again, by the 1st of May, put Carlos Ruiz in there and probably put Delman Young in there as well. So it's a different looking group. Chopper to 3rd. And a quick inning for Medlin. To the bottom of the 4th here at ESPN Wide World of Sports, an 11-5 lead for the Atlanta Braves. Welcome back to this telecast of MLB Spring Training on ESPN, presented by Head & Shoulders. With Oral Hershiser, John Kruk, and Buster Olney, I'm Dan Schulman. We go to the bottom of the fourth. Justin Upton's hit a couple of long home runs, and the Braves have an 11-5 lead on the Phillies. Michael Stutz is into the game now for Philadelphia. Had a very good year 2 years ago as a rookie for the Phillies, then had shoulder surgery last April and missed almost the entire season. And right now he is battling for a spot in that Philadelphia rotation. The Phillies, it sounds like they've got 4 locks and then 5 pitchers still in camp who are battling for the last 3 spots in the bullpen. Fairly late in camp to still have kind of that much up for grabs, but they like the arms they've got as B.J. Upton takes a strike. Stutz, Zach Miner, and Philippe Aumont, right-handers. And Raul Valdez and Jeremy Horst, left-handers, battling for 3 spots. B.J. Upton with a fly ball to left field. This one will stay in the ballpark. And Ruff will make the catch, 1 down. So let's look at the projected Phillies bullpen. Of course, Jonathan Papelbon is going to be the closer. They pick up Mike Adams, who, if healthy, is one of the best 8th-inning guys in baseball. Left-hander Antonio Bastardo, veteran right-hander Chad Durbin back with the Phillies, and again, as we mentioned, 3 jobs still up for grabs, and there appear to be 5 pitchers going for them right now.
Mike Adams was a huge acquisition. The 8th inning was a black hole last year for the Philadelphia Phillies, and Adams will fill that in a very, very good way. His sinker slider comes in, and he's a real horse, and I think he and Papelbon will lock down those last 2 innings. They'll be seeing if the starters are young enough and deep enough, and are they really going to act like the big 3 to get to that 8th and 9th inning?
Well, let's talk about that. There's a lot of concern about Roy Halladay right now in Phillies camp. His velocity was down 2 starts ago, and he was knocked around when only 2 2/3 inning. And then yesterday, and this is completely unrelated, but he was sick as a dog and only pitched 1 inning. Ugleb with a bouncer up the middle, and nice play on both ends. Franzen to Howard, 2 down.
Well, anything with Roy Halladay, 2 starts ago, the velocity down, that could be still getting in shape. He chalked that up to some workouts and changing his workouts. But the last outing, he was sick. He didn't feel well. He's actually seen behind the mound, kind of, easing his stomach. And I'll tell you what, if you're not feeling good and you're dehydrated, you're just trying to get it through it and get your work. And they said he was upset his cookies and everything before the game. And you know what? He pulled himself out. I don't think it was anything to do with his arm. I think he was just sick. Talked to Charlie Manuel about it. He doesn't seem that worried, and Rich Doobie wasn't worried. The pitching coach, you have the flu, you want to get your work in. You're a warrior. It's like, I don't really care about results in the regular season. You care about your results, you care about your team, but here you're trying to just get in shape and get out there, move your arm 70 times, get your reps in, and if you give up 7-8 runs, you don't care. But the concerns about Roy are the location. For me, is more the concern than the velocity. When he's missing his spots, that's 2 outings ago what I really worried about.
The Phillies have already said Cole Hamels will start opening day. As you said, Halladay just hasn't gotten his innings and his pitches in as much as he would like for a couple of reasons. Assuming everything is okay, they still think he could be ready for the start of the season, but he's not going to be the opening day guy for the first time in about 10 years. What do you hear, Kruk? Do you hear that? Is there any legitimate reason for concern about Halladay, or is he just working out the kinks right now?
Well, everyone I've talked to in the Phillies have said no, there's no concern because we know about his legendary work ethic. But to me, it's like with Oral, I've seen a couple of his starts, and his command has just not been there. And I don't know if that's working on things or he's just trying to figure things out, or it's just not there. I have no idea.
Francisco goes the other way for a home run. He is having a big-time spring as he is in a great battle for the third base job with Chris Johnson. They're both hitting really, really well and making the decision tough for Freddie Gonzalez. But right now, it's a nice problem to have if you're Atlanta.
Well, Michael Stutz tries to throw that fastball. You can see basically close to the glove. But this is the great thing about these hitters now. They're powered the other way. They don't have to be pull hitters to hit homers. I mean, you look at this swing right here. I mean, he's hitting that ball like he's trying to hit a ball just up the middle, and he happened to get it elevated and hit it out of the ballpark.
Matt Pagnazzi flares one into right field for a base hit.
That's the thing about the modern hitter compared to our day. There's a lot less weight shift because they're so strong, and there's the weight training has come in over the last 10, 15 years to the point where we get to spend a lot of time around cages in spring training because the guys are here, we're here early, we go hang out around the cage, and I'll tell you what, they very little movement consistently across the board in most.
Yeah, and the hitters I've talked to about that, of why there's such little movement now, is because of the way pitchers pitch now. You see it, 2-0 breaking ball, 2-0 changeups. Back in the day when we played, it was a 2-0 fastball. You got it, and you tried to just wail on it. But these guys pitch differently now, and they all pitch with movement. They're always trying to throw two-seamers away from lefties. So, if you're gearing up for that fastball and they throw the two-seamer, you're out in front, you hit a rollover, or you swing through it. Now these guys stay on balls, and they with that short approach, they're just trying to put it in play more than they are trying to do damage. But you said it, they're so strong that it goes out of the ballpark.
It's not colliding with the ball as much. It just turn and rotate on it. We were in Arizona, the Dodger camp, really spent about a half hour watching Matt Kemp hit, and he looks real healthy. He hadn't gotten the stats in the spring training, but he barely moves. He just lifts it up barely, puts it down the same place, and just torques it.
But again, there wasn't many guys we played with that are, what's Matt Kemp, 6'3", 230, 225, 230, and can run like that? Those guys we saw usually over on the Eagles side.
Chris Medlin is up for the third time. The Atlanta pitcher's already got 2 hits in this game. Not this time, and the inning is over. Francisco with a home run, and the Braves tack on another one to lead 12-5.
As the game continues, the other part about the Braves, as the first pitch swing is driven out to Hayward in right field, is that you also as much as you talk about the offense, the Washington Nationals can pitch, the Phillies can pitch, even the Mets can pitch. That affects a team's offense.
Oh, it absolutely does. But they're all going to be meeting a lot of times this year. I still think everybody's chasing the Nationals in the East.
Okay. Hi, that's Kurt Schilling. I'm Carl Ravitch. More updates coming. We'll send it now back to ESPN's Wide World of Sports and Ryan Howard stepping up to the plate. Dan?
All right, guys, thank you. One down in the fifth inning, 12-5. Atlanta leading Philadelphia. The guys talking about the Nationals, of course, a playoff team last year, and many feel that they're going to be an even stronger ball club this year, and a real challenge for either one of these two teams to overtake. Although Atlanta's certainly coming off a great year, and they appear to be stronger. Philadelphia appears to be healthier than they were last year.
Gio Gonzalez got nosed out by R.A. Dickey for the Cy Young, but I'm picking Steven Strasburg, his teammate, to win it this year.
No innings limit this year. We don't have to talk about 160.
Thank you.
All year long. Base hit. Howard goes the other way. He's 2 for 3. Now, speaking of the Nationals, let's take a look at some of the big storylines for them coming into the 2013 season. And as Oral just mentioned, Steven Strasburg, no limits on him. So how far can he go? How good can he be this year? They've added to their bullpen Rafael Soriano, now joining what is a very, very deep pen. And the second year for Bryce Harper, the Rookie of the Year last year. Crucky, what do you think the sophomore season is going to be like for Bryce Harper?
I think it's going to be fantastic. And one reason, Dan, is he's not afraid. And he wasn't afraid when he got to the big leagues last year.
Yeah.
And as the season progressed, you saw the instincts that he had. You know, a lot of players come up to big leagues and they can hit, or they can throw, they can run. Some can do everything. He can do everything, but his instincts, to me, are as good as his talent is on the field, because he's a great base runner. He's an aggressive base runner. He's going to make you throw guys out. So even when he's struggling offensively, he's liable to get an infield single, steal a base, score on a long or on a ground ball deep into the hole at shortstop. That they try to get a guy at first because of his speed and instincts, and that's something that can't be taught. It's in him. It was in him from birth. And when you watch him play baseball, to me, and Mike Trout, of course, too, the great instincts that he has. But baseball's in great hands, Oral, with those two young studs coming up and playing the way they played last year.
Bryce Harper and the details and the instincts of the running, it's one of the...
Brown drives it deep right field, headed for the 385 side and gone. 2-run shot for Brown. 12-7.
It ain't over.
It ain't halfway over.
Well, he looks different at the plate, and he looks good. That bat is a lot quicker coming through the hitting zone. And that ball's a ball he wanted to pull. He did, but he wasn't pulling off of it. His front side stayed in, and he just drove that ball.
Well, Michael Young told me the other day he hit a ball that was about 6 inches off the plate and pulled it for a home run. And that's what they're trying to look. They were trying to get the ball in. It leaked out over the plate, but you saw the quickness of the bat that he didn't have last year and the year before when he came up, because his hands were so high and so held out so far away.
He pops that ball up last year because the front side would fly open.
Or he hits a weak grounder back to the pitcher because it saws him off. They're excited about him because of the changes he's made. And look, when you're in the locker room and you're dressing beside Michael Young every single day and you've reached out to him for help, you know, who would you rather learn from? I told him before the game, I said, it's good to get a guy that has 200 hits. But you see it right there. The hands aren't moving. They just come back just a little bit. But the explosion through the zone with the hips and the hands in unison is what develops that power that he has.
You got that consistent launch point, and he's got a clear path with those hands short to the ball.
And
he looks good.
He was all over the place. He was down. He was up. He'd drop his hands. He'd raise his hands. He had no clue.
Fair ball down the line off the bat of Darren Ruff. His second hit of the game. And his second double of the game.
But talking to Charlie Manuel, he said, look, here's a great thing about Ruff. He can always hit. Now he's hitting into his power has developed the last few years in the minor leagues, but he's always been a great average hitter. And that, to me, is a great sign that if you can hit and then you develop power as you get older, that hitting never goes away.
26 years of age from Omaha, 6'3", 220. We mentioned earlier 38 home runs at AA last year and 3 more with the Phillies in 33 at bats in the big leagues last year. The question for him, obviously Howard's healthy, first base is blocked. The only other position he could play is corner outfield, but the defense is a concern. Betancourt gets a big hop on a base hit into left field, and there are runners at first and third with 1 out. This is one heck of a game we got going on.
It's a barn burner.
12-7 in the 5th inning.
When we came back from break, Curt Schilling was talking about Medlin, and this is a great time to have this kind of outing, and it really is. You want to pitch with some traffic out there on the bases. You want to not just have these perfect outings going into the season, but he's going to get his work in. He's going to feel like he's going to have to give a little excuses and just tell the media after in the huddle, this is just getting the work in. It's no big deal. And you go to the side work, you start working on your location a little bit more, a little out of rhythm. Sometimes this happens. The dead arm time, the working out, starting to extend yourself, get into your 80 pitches. Once you get in shape, you start to hit those spots a little bit more.
That's why they should just come out of shape and stay out of shape. They don't have to worry about getting in shape.
Are you speaking from experience or talking about a friend?
Dan, I came to spring training one year in the best shape of my life. I was 190. Lost a lot of weight over the winter, worked out all winter, never lifted weights, but I worked out, running, conditioning. And I don't know if I got a hit that spring. And John Vukovich, the late, great John Vukovich, said, "You're a better hitter fat. Don't be afraid to go have some pizza tonight." And I took him up on it.
Loop single into right for Quintero, and a run comes in to make it 12-8.
Medlin in the location continues to miss up, and he was on that hot streak in the rotation in August and September. You didn't see many pitches up in the strike zone like this. That could be the 4-seamer he's trying to work on to change the hitter's eye, but if he doesn't hit his spot with it, he's going to go back to the 2-seamer and sinking it.
And they're starting to get loose a little bit in the Atlanta pen. The goal was 6 innings and 85 pitches. Not sure they're going to get him there the way that this one.
I think that was about his 71st pitch there, so he's getting close. And one of the things I like to do when I came to these outings, if you're having a rough one, get the rest of the pitches in the bullpen. They can't hurt you as bad.
Seems safer out there today, doesn't it?
Yeah, when you get to these last, you don't want to go to the well to save runs when you're just, the first time you're really going to extend yourself and push your pitch count. Those are the time when you want it to be easy. So if I was having a rough one, I'd go to the bullpen and throw the last inning down there.
There's Lance Nix batting in the pitcher's spot. Nix, a corner outfielder. Trying to stick with the team, perhaps as a platoon player or a bench guy. He's got some pop. Hit 16 home runs a couple of years ago with Washington. Only had 114 at bats at the big league level last year. Those came with the Phillies. These are the kind of at-bats. I mean, this is a big at-bat for Lance Nix. This could be the role that he's in if he sticks with the team to come off the bench, left-handed batter, be a pinch hitter. It's a crazy 12-8 game, and some guys are just getting their work in, but this kind of thing matters for Nix right now.
Yeah, and especially, you normally in the 5th inning, you're not going to put in your best pinch hitter, but this is a situation, like you said, Dan, first and second, 12-8 game, you're only down 4, and the way the ball's flying out of here, anything can happen, and that's why he's there.
Strike 3 called.
This is that old Greg Maddux pitch. Throw the inside to a left-hander, and the 2-seam rotation makes it sink and come back. Just freezes him. You see Lance Nix moves the hips because he thinks he might get hit, and that ball tails all the way back over the corner.
So 2 down in the inning and back to the top of the order.
Flashbacks.
That's a hard pitch, even though the guy has it in his repertoire.
When I hear hitters say, I'm not afraid to get hit by the ball, why do they all jump out of the way of that one? Think about it. They all do it. Maddux was throwing 86 at the end of his career, and still guys were backing up and jumping out of the way of that pitch because they thought it was going to hit him.
Are they selling the ball to the umpire, or they're afraid to get hit?
It doesn't feel good. I have kids. My son asked me that. If I get hit by the ball, is it going to hurt? Yep.
Yeah. The worst thing you can say is no.
A lot.
2-1 the count on Revere.
He's starting to get that one dialed in, isn't he, Oral?
Uh-huh.
That's no fun.
Now, when you saw that pitch a couple of times, would you back up 2-3 inches in the box?
No, not with Maddox, because he could go outside 4 or 5 inches and get a strike called too.
It was kind of a wide strike zone, wasn't it?
Well, he earned it to me. And, you know, that was one of those you accepted. If it was a rookie that they gave that pitch to, a little upsetting. I mean, the guy was on his way to 300 and however many wins and 9 million Cy Youngs and Gold Gloves to boot. So, no, I didn't have a problem. And you couldn't wait for a mistake because he didn't make those.
Medlin's allowed more runs today than he's ever allowed in a major league outing. He's allowed more hits today than he allowed in any 2 combined starts last year. He was almost untouchable last year in the 12 starts at an ERA under 1. But he's having a rough go here today.
That'll be news if it's in the regular season.
Yes. And it will continue. Betancourt in to score. Quintero to second on a solid base hit by Revere. You know, we were joking that Jimmy Rollins was in minor league camp because you can get a guy more at bats when you send him down there. They'd be getting him 1 inning up here.
Yeah, but he didn't have to drive 3 hours.
Yeah,
or 2 hours.
Hour and a half. Wasn't bad.
I guess it seemed like 3.
I would say this is probably going to be his last hitter at 80 pitches. Maybe 85 will be the max, and they'll get somebody in there.
Kevin Franz in the batter.
I've given up on the scorecard.
Yeah. I missed one, and I looked over yours to cheat, and there was like nothing there.
Well, you might not want to do that as the season progresses, too.
So don't cheat?
I don't keep a good one.
Okay.
Someone will have to teach me that.
0-2 on Franzen. Right-hander Corey Guerin is up in the pen. Getting loose a little bit earlier than he thought he was going to. The hope was 6 for Medlin. And then bring in 3 relievers for an inning apiece at the end of the day. And we do expect to see Craig Kimbrell today, by the way.
At 5:30.
They better turn the lights on when Kimbrell comes in. It'll be a little tough to see. Chris Medlin planting that foot there on the back rubber, half on, half off, using it as a brace. See a lot of youngsters put their foot directly in front of the rubber flat, but I like it on an angle there on the edge of the rubber, using it as a little bit of a lever. And as you move forward and shift your weight, the pressure is on your back foot. It keeps it from slipping when you can hook your spikes like that.
Breaking ball, grounded down to third. Long throw. In time. And the inning is over. Bottom 5 here at ESPN Wide World of Sports. The Braves leading the Phillies 12-9. Our Buster Olney had a chance between innings to speak with Philadelphia pitching coach Rich Doobie.
Rich, we saw Roy come out after one inning on Sunday. With about 2 weeks left in the season, what's your plans for him going forward?
Well, first of all, we got to get his stomach straightened out. When we get him back eating and get some strength back to him, we got plenty of time to get him out there 2 more times and get him fully stretched out. So we first have to make sure he's got his strength in his legs.
You talked after his last bullpen session about some real positives you saw. What were you trying to do in that session with Roy?
Well, one, just control his front side and be able to get his backside up a little higher. He's lost some of his arm slot. It gets a little low at times. So that's the things we've been trying to put together. He's able to do it pretty well in long toss and carries it out a little bit on the mound, and then it goes back to some old habits that he created when he was injured. But the good side is that he's healthy right now, and with his character and his mentality, we'll get it straightened out.
Rich, thanks. Dan, back to you.
And Tyler Pasternicki's going to lead it off here in the bottom of the 5th. 12-9 Atlanta leading Philadelphia. Left-handed reliever Antonio Bastardo is into the game for the Phillies. He will be with the team. He's been with them the last couple of years. Had a great 2011. Lost some of his velocity and lost some of his effectiveness last year. Very important guy out of that pen is the late lefty. 2-5 with a 4.33 ERA last year. 6-1 with a 2.64 ERA the year before. And the year before, 58 innings, 28 hits. For more on the Phils, back down to Buster.
There's no more respected pitcher in baseball probably than Roy Halladay among scouts, and they were really concerned last Tuesday when his fastball velocity was clocked about 82 to 87 miles per hour in his start against the Detroit Tigers. And some of those same scouts were reporting on Sunday that his fastball velocity on a day he was sick was about 87. And to put that into context, guys, in 2011, he made 32 starts. In 26 of those, he had average fastball velocities of 91.5 miles per hour or higher. Last year, only 1. So, yes, velocity is a concern for Roy Halladay as he works through the spring training.
Now, you would think, guys, if anybody can compensate for a lack of velocity, I mean, Roy Halladay can paint and he can move the ball, and he's got, as you mentioned, a great work ethic. He's got a great idea of how to go about his business out of the mound as Pasternicki draws the walk. But let me ask each of you guys, if his 92 is now 87, how big of a difference is that going to make for Roy Halladay?
It's all going to matter about movement and location. In 87, 88 with Roy's pitch selection, it's going to be, can he locate the ball? And if he can do that, he'll be fine.
And I think reputation alone gets him through a lot of those issues with if he is losing his velocity. But I know as a hitter, when I went up there and I didn't think a guy could throw it by me, then you can start picking pitches that you want to hit. You know, the sinker, the slider that he throws that are devastating pitches, and more devastating if he's throwing 94 than as opposed to throwing 87. So if I didn't think a guy could throw it by me, then I can eliminate a pitch, 1 or 2 pitches, and just set on the other ones and hopefully get one up in the zone and give it a good whirl.
Jason Hayward, the batter, and he lines one softly down the left field line for a base hit. Pasternicki around to third on a long single by Hayward. And the Braves have runners at first and third with nobody out for a guy who's already had one heck of an afternoon in Justin Upton. First at bat, you want to talk about a no-doubter.
It's just so pretty. It's just so short and compact and not a lot of wasted movement. Just the power. I mean, first of all, he's a big man. And I know he's still young, but he's a man. And the second one, pretty much the same pitch, pretty much hitting the same spot. So we're looking at consistency too, Dan.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. Not to get carried away with what he's done today, as impressive as it has been. He's had really good seasons. He's had decent seasons. What is a realistic expectation going forward? Again, considering he's only 25 years of age. Some guys are just breaking into the big leagues at this age. What is a realistic expectation moving forward for you guys for Justin Upton?
Yeah, I think he could be a perennial all-star. I think that the fact that he is only 25, the fact that you might be able to chalk up some of that inconsistency to learning himself, learning the league, maybe a little bit of maturity at times just in what it takes to have those full, complete seasons and continue to make adjustments. But right now, you scout him today, you want him on your ball club.
And I think with Justin is when he was 23 years old, he was the face of an organization, and now he's come here. And, you know, even with Chipper gone, they still have other guys who are there, you know, that have been there for a long time, that he doesn't have to be the man. And when you're not expected to be the man, sometimes you become the man accidentally by putting up huge numbers. I think he's going to be a fantastic player for the Braves. I think the Braves have got a steal in this deal. And even though I love Martin Prado, you know, him going to Arizona as part of the package for Justin, Justin Upton, to me, can do everything.
He gets jammed, and he loops one into center field for a base hit. Pasternicki will score. Hayward running hard takes third. That throw gets away, and Upton goes into second.
So there's a dimension the Braves bring to just that heads-up base running. Jason Hayward showing that he's going to push the envelope. I'm sure Freddie Gonzalez over there with Atlanta loves that.
Right. And that's all Reed off the bat because he got jammed. He broke his bat. The blooper, you know, Ben Revere can cover a lot of ground. But Jason Hayward he read it perfectly. He didn't hesitate. You know, Revere made a decent enough throw, but, you know, with the big man sliding into third, Franson wasn't going to jump in the way, or Michael Young wasn't going to jump in the way of that in spring training to block that one.
You got to believe, too, that Hayward and both Uptons, that they're going to have a pretty healthy, fun competition. You know, anything you can do, I can do better. And, and they might really push each other to bigger and better things.
Yeah, there'll be some talking. I'm pretty sure of that. And friendly, you know, good-natured ribbing in the you know, Justin might hit a couple homers and Freeman hits one, and BJ might not hit any. And I'm sure they'll get on BJ a little bit about, you know, let's go, man, pick it up. We got to, you know, come with us. Let BJ's liable to hit 2 or 3 in a game too, and tell them let's go. I think oh my! When he's hot, he's really good. When he's cold, it's frigid. But I mean, I think just the 3 of them together, it's going to be pretty fun to watch if you're an Atlanta Brave fan, and even if you're not, if you're an analyst like us who has to be unbiased, it's going to be a great watch if Braves outfielders compete against each other this year.
Upton with a base hit and an RBI, takes second on a throwing error charge to Revere. Second and third, nobody out, a run in for Freeman. BJ's on deck right now. If you're Freddie Freeman, if this is going to be your spot, I mean, think about what's going on in front of you every night.
He's got second and third, no outs. All he has to do is make contact, and he's got an RBI. He's going to drive in 100 by accident.
Well, it's always fun to be the base clogger, and you're the guy in the box. Everybody else can run. So BJ will have a little tougher time getting Freeman in, but Freeman's going to have no trouble getting BJ's brother in and Hayward.
And because he's not here, we haven't talked a whole lot about Andrelton Simmons, but this is a guy with just a world of potential. And assuming he is the leadoff hitter for the Atlanta Braves, I mean, that's a pretty exciting piece of the puzzle as well.
Yeah, he can run too.
Yep.
He can really run.
Boy, I tell you, there's nothing better as a hitter coming up, knowing that all you had to do was hit a ground ball to drive in a run, or a fly ball anywhere to drive in speed. It's a great feeling. It's a confident feeling in the box. And I know, Freeman's battling here against a lefty in Bastardo, but yeah, when you can roll over a ball and drive in a run and do your job, you're a happy guy.
Freeman chases.
Chase him in the dirt like that. That's pretty miserable.
Well, if you're getting ready for your fantasy baseball pool, then guys like Justin Upton, BJ Upton, Jason Hayward, obviously of interest to you, given their speed, power, potential. According to ESPN Fantasy Ranks, they are 3 of the top 16 outfielders in baseball. ESPN Fantasy Baseball is back on ESPN.com. Real-time scoring, expert advice. You can manage your team and do it all from your mobile phone. Sign up today for free at ESPN.com/fantasybaseball.
And this is what I was talking to Greg Walker, the hitting coach, about. You've got guys in scoring position, 2 strikes, put it in play, get a run. Freeman strikes out. BJ's first swing, he was swinging for a homer. And he got jammed and hit a fly ball, and he's going to drive in a run.
Hayward will tag. Throw is cut, and then it gets away from Howard, and Justin Upton takes third.
Wow.
Are you wowing the speed or wowing the Phillies?
Well, the Phillies are awful.
Yeah.
What I'm wowing is the aggressiveness of the Atlanta Braves, even with the big lead. Let's keep pounding, let's keep going. And it starts in spring training. You can't turn it on this season and all of a sudden decide, I'm going to start reading balls off the bat. I'm going to start reading throws from outfielders. And can I take a base? Can I not? You experiment with this stuff in spring training. And, Justin, look, right there, he's only a foot or so off the base, but he saw where the catcher was. He saw that the ball got past Howard. He knows Howard's not a great thrower of the baseball. If he got it, I'm pretty much going to be safe. When Quintero had to go out to get it, he had plenty of time to get there. And look, if they're going to run the bases aggressively, like the Cardinals do, like the Reds do, with this talent, wow, watch out, National League.
Sac fly for B.J. Upton. Justin Upton takes third on the error to Howard. 2 errors in the inning, 3 on the afternoon. I would assume they put it up on the board, but they did charge him an error on that play. So 3 errors today committed by the Phillies. It's 14-9 in the 5th inning.
Yeah, you talk about the power and the speed, and watch out. I tell you, we're going to have 2 Titans going at it when it's the Nationals against the Braves. As you get the rotations, the bullpens are unbelievable, the speed, the power. These are complete teams. Might be the 2 most complete teams around, other than maybe the Braves, 4-5 hole. So the rotation may be a little different, a little better with the Nationals.
Yeah, then the Braves bullpen the last 2 or 3 years have been the best in the National League. As far as the National League East goes, now with Soriano Storn, and Clippard all in that, there's something about bringing in guys that can strike guys out in jams like Clippard and Storn and Soriano can. It's a great weapon to have if you're Davey Johnson.
And Atlanta's brought in Jordan Walden to help out with O'Flaherty, Venters, and Kimbrell.
Little Sloan coming this spring with some back issues, but they expect him to be okay and ready.
Full count on Uggla.
With Venters and O'Flaherty and Kimbrell, wow. Kimbrell, he got Cy Young votes last year. MVP votes also.
Struck out about, 16 batters per 9 innings?
That's not fun on TV watching him pitch, thinking as a hitter. I couldn't imagine standing in the box. 98 with that hook.
We're going to get to see him later in this game, probably.
Maybe. If he hadn't fallen asleep yet.
That's
what do you think, guys?
A lot of great closers do that. They sleep on the training table till the 7th inning. They get a massage. They come out for the 9th. They get ready. They go in.
You think he's been on the horn with Freddie saying, hey, Freddie, let me come in the 6th.
Yeah. Inning over, but 2 more for Atlanta at the end of 5. It's the Braves 14 and the Phillies 9. 14-9. The Braves lead the Phillies as we go to the top of the 6th inning. Chris Medlin's out of the game and with Buster Olney.
Chris, crooked numbers, but in spring training, all the numbers go away. What do you take out of a game like this?
I guess look at the positives. The zeros that I did put up, I felt pretty good. Location and mixing pitches and stuff. Throughout the entire thing, pitch selection might have been different during the regular season than it would normally now. Just trying to throw a lot of fastballs and stuff, but they weren't located very well, and they let me know that they weren't located very well.
Statistically, you were the best pitcher in baseball the last 2 months of last year. What clicked on for you?
Confidence it's always been there for me, but I think the opportunity to be able to throw as many pitches as I got up to last year, and just kind of zone in on simplifying things. Really, it was nothing different than that I did throughout my career so far. Just a bigger opportunity, and just kind of ran with it.
I'm going to put one on a tee for you. Now that Chipper Jones is retired, who's the best switch hitter among active Braves?
Well, you should have asked me when he was here. I would have told you me anyways. Try to get one a year each side so I can keep calling myself a switch hitter. But, I got a couple today, and, same with my pitching stats. They go away along with my 2 hits, too, so they might as well not even have happened.
Chris, thanks. Dan, back to you.
All right, Buster, thank you. So a couple of base hits making him feel a little bit better about the afternoon. Michael Young grounds out against the new Atlanta pitcher, Eric O'Flaherty. Left-hander, get a load of these numbers. A 1.73 ERA last year. Freddie Gonzalez was joking with us before the game, and people were saying, what's wrong with him? Because he had an ERA under 1 the year before. Throws strikes, gives up way less than a hit per inning over each of the last 2 seasons. Doesn't get a lot of acclaim, being generally a 7th inning guy in the regular season, but he's been a huge part of the Atlanta bullpen's success the last couple of years.
You're going to have a really good career when your bad year is a 1.73.
Yeah.
And you're going to get used a lot.
Yeah.
He got lucky. He got used less last year.
Maybe that's why he was struggling.
Needs more work.
O'Flaherty, by the way, has had a groin issue this spring. This is just his 3rd appearance, but the Braves feel that he is going to be ready for the start of the regular season. Roller right side, and O'Flaherty covering for out number 2. You saw Young ground out moments ago before the game. He had a chance to visit with our John Kruk.
Now you're moving to third base. You played third base with the Rangers for a while, but you're going to be here, expected to be out there every single day. How's it been going at third?
It's been great. It's been great since day one. We've getting a lot of extra work in, just kind of trying to reacclimate myself as quickly as possible and doing everything I know I need to do to improve over there. So that's what spring training's all about, and the work's been fun.
Ryan Sandberg told me that you have adapted well. He said he was surprised by how good your footwork is, how quick you are, and how strong an arm you have.
Well, that's just kind of middle infield stuff that kind of takes over to third. But at the same time, there are a lot of things about third base that I wanted to get better at. We've taken some big steps forward here in spring training, but a lot of work to be done, and I'm looking forward to it.
It doesn't hurt that you have Ryan Sandberg with 1 million Gold Gloves and Mike Schmidt with 2 million, does it?
Exactly. So great infield instructor, and having Schmidt over there every now and then has been a huge plus for me.
You know what, and give credit to a guy who's 36 years of age and is out there at 9 in the morning every single day, taking extra ground balls, getting comfortable in a position that he's going to play every day, really working at it. And there's a base hit up the middle, and Dominic Brown's afternoon continues. He's 3 for 4.
If you talk to Michael and you do a little research and read some articles, he's really working on getting low before the ball is hit. When the ball gets into the hitting area, that he felt like he was probably his first step is not as aggressive enough, and he was kind of popping out of his stance, so the ball was kind of darting by him when it stayed low.
And he's going to get tested a lot. If Halliday's healthy, that sinker going down and into righties. Cole Hamels is a changeup pitcher. Cliff Lee likes to throw the cutter into righties. He's going to get a lot of work at third base, and if he's up to it, then the Phillies pitchers are going to have a lot of success. If he struggles, could be trouble.
Darren Ruff is the batter, 2 for 3 with a couple of doubles today. 14-9, Atlanta leading Philadelphia, top of the 6th. We'll have the Phillies for you tomorrow afternoon again as they host the Yankees at 1 Eastern here on ESPN. And then Wednesday will be at the Yankees home park in Tampa. The Red Sox will be there 1 Eastern on ESPN2.
We'll get to see Chase Utley and Jimmy Rollins tomorrow. We can hope.
Yeah, we might not see Ryan Howard getting 4 at-bats today and traveling to Orlando. He might get some early BP and go home
early
to that
shower
to that dump he's building in Clearwater.
Does that have a certificate of occupancy yet?
Well, Mick Billmeyer says his robotic vacuum takes a month to clean the house. So.
It's either a bad vacuum or a big house.
Really big
house.
Really big.
Ruff strikes out, and the inning is over. 14-9. Go to the bottom of the 6th. Let's send it back to the studio. Find out what's going on around baseball today. Again, here's Carl Ravitch.
The Yankees.
Exactly.
Curt Schilling's imaginary world, always an interesting world. He's here, so am I. We'll send it back to you guys at the game.
All right, guys, thank you. A swing and the bat from Juan Francisco goes flying into the first row of seats over the Atlanta dugout. It looks like everybody's okay. And the fans can toss the bat back in so Francisco can keep using it. 14-9, Atlanta leading Philadelphia. Francisco overlooking, and they've just given an alternate bat up to the fan in the crowd as a souvenir.
I could skim the top of the one guy's head as it flew over.
Oh, yeah, he's a little nicked up, you're right, but he's smiling, so he's all right.
That was a nick. If it was a direct hit, not good. Again, at some point, when are they going to put screens down further? Protect people.
It just seems like in these ballparks, too, you're even closer than you are in some major league ballparks. This is a nice one, but it doesn't take much for a ball or a bat to wind up in those seats right above the dugout. Swing and a miss. Francisco gone as Aaron Cook strikes him out. Cook, another guy like Rodrigo Lopez, who's the starter today, hoping for a spot in the rotation, but realistically probably looking at being a AAA starter, at least at the outset of the season. until such time as maybe there's a need, something happens in the big league rotation.
And he did the same thing last year with Boston. Had a really good spring training, earned a job, but he kind of struggled. And it's just that borderline stuff. You're just looking for lightning in a bottle, maybe a new grip on a pitch, a new pitch completely that changes everything.
Pagnozzi with a pop-up and no play. But for a lot of these guys, it's not just about can I make the team at the beginning of the season. They understand it's a 6-month thing, and just because you're not up April 1st doesn't mean you're not going to be up shortly after that. Stuff always happens.
Yeah, a lot of times you're not looking for the best salary, but the best opportunity when you're looking for jobs like that, because you know the opportunity to pitch in the big leagues and possibly be successful could lead to a longer, more successful career, innings, salary, all the different kinds of things. So there's multiple choices of when you want to be a spring training invitee and what camp you go to. I did it back in 1999. I was in the camp of the Cleveland Indians because I was friends with John Hart. He said, we don't have a job for you, but if somebody gets hurt, I might have a job for you. And let me train there. And then right now, the Mets came calling. And I had an option to leave the camp and told John, I think they're going to offer me a job at the Mets. And he said, well, I can't guarantee you that 5th spot in the rotation. So I went to the Mets and had the year in 1999 with the Mets.
Well, it seems that when guys get into their mid-30s and they're just trying to play a couple more years, it seems for most of them.
Mid-30s, I was 41.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, seriously. It seems for most of them, it's, as you said, it's less about the money and it's more about later in your career. I want to win or I want a chance to play. Those are the two things that really matter the older you get.
Yeah, when I wasn't a fixture, when you get to that point where you know you're not a fixture on a team and now you're looking for job opportunities, I actually wanted to play in 3 cities and got to hit 2 of them. I wanted to play in New York, I wanted to play in San Francisco, and I wanted to play in Chicago, but my body gave out. But, it's kind of fun to expose my family to those cities. And they were pretty good teams. We had a chance. We lost in a 1-game playoff to the Cubs with the Giants. Got knocked out with the Mets in the playoffs.
Freddie Galvis into the game, and now at third for the Phillies. Coming up with it to make the play on Pagnozzi, 2 down. Charlie Manuel starting to make a number of substitutions. Don't miss the biggest games of the World Baseball Classic tonight and tomorrow. Tonight at 9, you'll see Atlanta shortstop Andrelton Simmons as the Netherlands takes on the Dominican Republic in the second semifinal for the right to play Puerto Rico in the championship game tomorrow night at 8. The World Baseball Classic tonight at 9 and tomorrow at 8 on ESPN Deportes and MLB Network. Reed Johnson, the batter. First pitch swinging. Ground ball to short. Throw dug out by John Mayberry, who's now in the game at first. And the Braves go in order in the bottom of the 6th. This telecast of MLB Spring Training on ESPN is brought to you by AT&T. Rethink possible. We're going to the 7th here at ESPN Wide World of Sports. The Braves leading the Phillies 14-9 to between innings. Buster Olney and Justin Upton.
Justin, this is going to be a silly question. How comfortable are you feeling in spring training, first time with the Braves?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, the clubhouse has been great. A lot of good guys here. It was a pretty easy transition. Just fitting in with the guys, and so far spring's been fun.
Tell me where you're at with your swing as we get closer to the start of the season.
This is the point where you want to start, kind of trying to lock it in a little bit. We're a couple weeks out, so still getting comfortable, still getting timing down, but we're starting to get into our routines where we can go to the cage every day. The early spring training stuff's over, so getting into a routine, start to get comfortable.
So many thumpers in this lineup. What's it like to hit in the middle of this order?
Oh, it's fun. I mean, looking at the guy in front of you and the guys behind you and knowing that, they're going to pick you up. You're going to fail a lot during the season, but to have those guys behind you and the guys in front of you that pick you up is nice.
Justin, thanks. Dan, back to you.
All right, Buster, thank you. A terrific day for Justin Upton. 2 long home runs. He certainly looks comfortable with his new team. And here's a guy who you are anything but comfortable against when you stand in the batter's box. Craig Kimbrell, back from Team USA at the WBC, working here in the 7th inning. Not comfortable.
He went 94, 97, and now 83 with a little slide piece on the outside.
And there's only 1 strike. That's a 2-strike breaking ball that a hitter's swinging at with 1 strike. By that I mean trying to protect, just put it in play. He's just trying to make contact right now. Forget where it goes.
Weekly hit to third. Barehanded. Got it. Nice play. Francisco at third base. Betancourt retired 1 down.
Francisco having a pretty good day down there. Getting some hits. He looks pretty good down there at third base.
Well, Kimbrell last year had an ERA of 1.01. In 62 2/3 innings, he gave up 27 hits. He walked 14 and he struck out 116 batters.
It's pretty good, isn't it? I mean, if you like good numbers, it's pretty good.
All right, so Ora, let me ask you. That's a foul ball. He's not the only guy. There are other guys who throw 97. There are other guys with nasty sliders.
Right.
I mean, he's got great ability. But what makes him, I mean, his numbers are historically good. What makes him that good?
Well, velocity, location, and he hides the ball really, really well. Right-handed hitters will never feel comfortable with this release point at that kind of low 3/4. He's just absolutely amazing. Great movement. Aggressive in the strike zone. Gets ahead of hitters. Here we go again. 0-1.
Montero puts a good swing on the ball, hits it to left field. Reed Johnson has it on the edge of the track, 2 down.
I'm sure the Braves are just glad to have him back in camp out there healthy. He got worked probably a little bit more strenuously than some people going to the World Baseball Classic, pitched back-to-back days, and really probably glad the USA got knocked out in some ways just to get him back here under their wing.
I'm not sure if I was running a club or a manager of a club, I'd want my closer to go to the World Baseball Classic. I think it's a great thing. Yep. I think the timing of it's poor because you're asking guys to play competitive games and then back off for 2-3 weeks and then go back to competitive again. I think it's too much for a pitcher. Position players, fine.
Yeah, relievers don't usually get the back-to-back games till the very last week of spring training. So here he was with 4 weeks left going, really 3.5 weeks left going back-to-back games. So they have to gear up a little earlier on your own before you come into camp if you're going to play in the Classic, because and it's hard to push yourself. It's just a lot easier to push yourself when you go into the weight room, when you go to do your throwing, when there's a coach there, when there's somebody pushing you, than when you have to do it in the offseason on your own a little bit.
Jermaine Mitchell is the batter. Checks the swing on the high fastball.
And I'm sure they're going to back Kimbrell off just a little bit. Nice, solid, consistent work, and then they'll gear him right back up at the end. But I think you're right, John, just to turn the game face on and then to turn it off and then to turn it back on when the season starts. A little different. I can remember my spring trainings A lot of times, guys, the first four outings as a starter, my body wasn't ready for my game face, so I never put it on. Just the adrenaline, the intensity of trying to go out there and really grind out an outing. You got to wait for the body to be ready for that intensity.
And then you see some guys, and Mariano Rivera is as good an example as any. Seems like he needs about 4 innings of work, and he just strolls out there, 1, 2, 3, breaks a couple of bats, and he's ready to go.
You have to remember, too, he only throws 1 pitch. So it's not like he has to get the feel for his breaking ball.
Kimbrell gets him in order. The strikeout of Mitchell to win the inning. 7th inning stretch in Orlando, and it's 14-9. The Braves are leading. This telecast of MLB Spring Training on ESPN, presented by Head & Shoulders. Bottom of the 7th inning, Dan Schulman, John Kruk, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney, 14-9. Braves over the Phillies. Although nobody scored in a couple innings. It was 14-9 at the end of 5.
They're tired.
All that swinging and running and chasing the ball around. Aaron Cook is back on the mound for his 2nd inning of work. Pitch is inside to Tyler Pasternicki. 2 balls and a strike. Pasternicki has doubled, singled, flied out, and walked.
Double and the single came in the 1st.
You're right.
He was on his way to the cycle. What do you get for that in spring training, World?
Oh, I don't know.
Attaboy?
Maybe get out of running for one day.
Tell you what, I tried everything to get out of running every day.
I was going to ask you in spring training, when was your body ready for the intensity?
Opening day.
That's the only day we needed it.
MLB Spring Training Baseball continues tomorrow on ESPN. We will see the Phillies again at their home ballpark in Clearwater as they host the Yankees. MLB Spring Training presented by Head & Shoulders tomorrow with 1 on ESPN and also live on Watch ESPN. And for the Yankees, as we alluded to a little bit earlier, it's obviously wasn't a great off season. They lost more than they brought in, and then they've had some serious injuries in the spring as well. What do you guys expect win-wise from the Yankees this year? Are they a contender?
To me, they're always contenders because they have the shortstop who's, like one of those guys that just refuses to lose. What's he played? How many years? And one or two of those years he hasn't been in the postseason.
Ground ball to short, picked nicely to second, one on to first, not in time. Betancourt with a nice play to force the lead runner.
I think they're putting a lot of pressure on their pitching staff. Brett Gardner's going to have to be big, I think, for them. Scoring runs with his legs with all the power that they're going to miss, especially to start the season.
Losing Rafael Soriano out of that bullpen is going to be huge. Mariano Rivera coming back. I think the Yankees, they could have to battle to get to 88, 90 wins. And I think it actually is going to come down to an ownership decision whether they're going to spend money at the trade deadline. I think they'll be fine for a half a season, but we'll see if they've got a team that can be finished off, and will they finish them off?
It was shocking that they didn't really get any free agents, and they lost. They just lost players, and I understand they want to get under the luxury tax, so they don't have to pay that. But to me, it's just not typical of what the New York Yankees were all about. They were about winning.
It's not what George Steinbrenner was all about.
What do we have to do to win this year? It wasn't for the future.
And the luxury tax, they wanted, the new CBA kicks in next year. And so when the Yankees were looking to sign people, they wanted to do just one-year deals. They want to be under $189 million going into 2014. So their luxury tax penalties, in effect, get reset to zero. They've been paying out a ton of money. You're right. It's a different way of doing business for the Yankees. The Dodgers are now acting like the Yankees used to act.
And the amazing thing is that the guys that they've lost that were very helpful coming off the bench, Ibanez, Andrew Jones, and Chavez, they were all one-year guys.
Yep. Jose Constanza is the batter.
I think there's a lot of pressure on CC Sabathia to stay healthy and have a big year to really anchor that rotation. And CC has had some health issues at times where they've had to back off.
And a lot of concern about Mark Teixeira, that this could be a longer-term injury, as we get an update from Buster.
That's exactly right. He spoke with the reporters yesterday, told them that, and in fact, he had that torn sheath. And I talked to Brian Cashman, the Yankees general manager, yesterday. He said that the doctors have told him there's a 70% chance that Teixeira's injury will heal. If so, then he can move forward. If not, he could need season-ending surgery.
And again, you're taking out 35 homers and 100 RBIs out of the lineup.
And a Gold Glove first baseman.
Chris Johnson, the batter.
Really helps that infield, be free and easy when they throw over there.
Right. He's one of the best scoopers in the game, and he's got some of the best range over there at first base of anybody. Broke in as a third baseman, Mark Teixeira.
Yeah, and if he misses the first month of the season, they're going to miss his defense, but he's
always been a slow starter.
So they're not going to miss the offense the first month of the season, but you hope when he comes back
that he's not a slow starter then.
Yeah, that he's not a slow starter then. Then you're into May.
So who would you guys pick? Baltimore had a great year last year. Can they do it again? Tampa Bay's lost some pitching, but you never want to doubt the Rays. Toronto made a big splash in the offseason, trade signings. Boston figures to be better, healthier. They've picked up some veteran guys.
Well, earlier in the spring, I picked the Yankees. But that's when they had Teixeira and Granderson, and now you don't know what Granderson's going to do.
Base hit and an RBI for Chris Johnson, 15-9.
I've got Tampa Bay winning the division and Toronto being the wild card. I like in Tampa Bay, if Longoria is healthy, he could have an MVP type year. They're pitching down there with Price and Hellickson and Moore. I tell you what, that starting pitching is going to be really deep.
Yeah. Who do you got? It's a tough division, right? There are some other divisions you can say, well, that team is clearly the favorite.
American League Central, Detroit's the favorite. Look, it wouldn't surprise me if the Yankees won. It wouldn't surprise me if Baltimore won. And it wouldn't surprise me if those teams finished in last because you just don't know. And Tampa is in the same boat, Boston, you just don't know. And because it's so even right now. Everyone's talking Toronto with the moves they made. Yes, they made great moves. How does that equate on paper, though? Can Mark Burley be a consistent winner against the American League East? Can Josh Johnson rebound from a pretty, in his standards, poor outing, poor season? Yeah, it's.
I'll tell you what, it's hard to pick Baltimore again just because of all the close games and extra inning games they won. It's just mathematically unbelievable the percentage of one-run games that they won and the extra inning games. And to think that it'll all work out again. I believe in Buck Showalter, the manager, but a lot of things fell right for them.
I think having Markakis back healthy.
That'll be good.
Brian Roberts can play second base and play 135, 140 games.
Nolan Reimold, too.
They're going to be a lot better.
Inning over, another run in for the Braves here in the seventh. At the end of 7, Atlanta leading the Phillies 15-9. Top of the 8th inning at ESPN A Wide World of Sports, the home of the Braves, who lead the Phillies. Look at this game, 15-9. And things have been relatively calm the last couple of innings. Catch every game of the 2013 World Baseball Classic this March on MLB Network and ESPN Deportes. Visit worldbaseballclassic.com for more information. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Watch almost 100 live out-of-market games each week on your favorite devices. Visit MLB.tv for details. Pete Orr is the batter for Philadelphia. The new pitcher for Atlanta is side-arming right-hander Corey Guerin. Figures to be one of the middlemen in that deep Atlanta pen. Orr spanks it to short. And it eats up Pasternicki on its way into left field.
Not even sure in the regular season you jump in front of that one.
These fields are a little quicker down here, too.
Yeah, you saw a hop go over Francisco's head earlier in the game, and this is just a rocket hit by Pete Orr. I mean, what do you do? Do you stay up and let it hit you in the chest? You try to knock it down with Pete Orr's speed. He's probably going to be a hit anyway, so that's the only chance. You have to have it in your glove, because if it hits the ground after it touches your body, he's going to be safe anyway. And Pete Orr might run right here because of the fact that he's trying to prove to Charlie, if you need a stolen base late in the game, I'm the guy.
Right.
Trying to make it, this is how you impress someone. If Ryan Howard gets on the 9th inning in a 1-run game, put me in. I'll steal a base for you.
Orr's a guy who's broken camp with the Phillies each of the last 2 years, but has split his time between AAA and the big leagues, predominantly as second baseman, but learning to play other positions. And he might be in a battle. You look at Kevin Franzen, who's up right now, Freddie Galvis. They got a lot of guys who, and there's not room for all of them on the 25-man roster right now. So the more versatile you can be, the better.
You get in these National League rosters, those guys on the bench are so important. The American League, those guys will sit over there and won't see the batter's box for 10 days, 2 weeks, maybe not even the start, because those guys want to stay in the lineup. There's no reason to move. But with double switches and pinch hitters and all the different things going on in the National League, being versatile is sometimes better than having one good tool.
Chopper to short, underhand to second one, on to first, big stretch in time. Two down in the inning. Between innings, Buster Olney had a chance to speak with Craig Kimbrell.
Craig Kimbrell back with the Braves after playing in the WBC. How was that experience?
It was an awesome experience. I get to play with a great group of guys, and it was a lot bigger than a lot of us expected. And it was awesome to see the countries come out and cheer their countries on, and for our fans to come out and cheer us on. It was awesome.
A lot of angst among managers who send relievers, pitchers into the WBC. How did you feel coming out of it, having ramped up to pitch in the middle of March?
I feel great. I feel more prepared for the season now than when I went out there, and I think it's going to make me better this coming year.
You were the first pitcher in baseball history to have struck out at least half the batters you faced last year. So what was your plan coming into this year, looking ahead?
not to strike out half the batters I faced, I can tell you that. That was just something where things just fell in the right place at the right time, and I'm just trying to go out and get my outs next year. When the opportunities come, go out and get my job done, and that's all I can control.
Was there anything you're working on this spring?
Just throw strikes. That's all I really ever work on, locating the ball and throwing my off-speed pitches for strikes.
Craig, thanks. Dan, back to you.
Buster, thank you. To the bottom of the 8th, 15-9. The Braves lead the Phillies. We'll be back. Bottom of the 8th, 15-9. Braves over the Phillies as Blake DeWitt steps up, hits one sharply out to second. And a spinning play there by Franzen onto Mayberry for out number 1. Aaron Cook in his 3rd inning of work. Rodrigo Lopez started, went just 2 innings today, gave up 8 runs, 7 of them earned. Nice ballpark. Spring training facilities have come a long way
yeah, a long
since
way.
you guys were breaking in back in the day, huh?
Woo! This is beautiful.
Reminds you of Dodger Town?
Yeah, Dodger Town, but
Dodger Town was nice.
Yep, it was beautiful.
Except when those people reach over and grab your hat because they didn't have roofs on the dugout.
Well, that's part of the charm of spring training.
O'Malley's wanted
my language was
them to
atrocious.
see you guys, see the players.
Every time I went to Vero Beach, my language got worse.
On purpose?
Well, at your fans.
Oh.
We're trying to take our hats and.
You never wore your hat on the bench.
Yes, I did.
Base hit Francisco, now 3 for 5, including a home run. Log on to ESPN.com and search BBTN 500 from March 20th through 28th as we unveil Baseball Tonight's ranking of the top 500 players for 2013. We'll reveal the top 10 players on a Baseball Tonight March 28th at 10 p.m. You guys both voted on this, right? You were part of the selection process?
I have Justin Verlander near the very, very top. Trout, Cabrera.
So this is not for fantasy baseball. This is real baseball. This is looking at baseball.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know how many of us did it, but a large group.
It took me about 10 phone calls to make my decision because I didn't know what I was doing.
We had to rate them from like 20 up to 100 or 90. Something. I think it was above 90. Yeah.
So who's your number 1 player? Or you can't reveal that yet?
Well, it's not just mine. They're not going to list it individually, so you won't see my votes, but you'll see the
But who was your number 1?
I think my number 1 was on the pitching mound. I think it was Verlander.
Wow, stretching that one out.
Well, who's your number 1?
Pagnazzi rips a ball to deep right center. Luis Nunez is the pinch runner. He's around third on his way home. The relay is not close unless it was intended for Aaron Cook. The run will score, and Pagnazzi into third, 16-9.
Since we no longer have the first to third move from the mound, we've got this new relay where we set runners up by overthrowing the catcher on purpose.
Wow, that was, the shortstop right there has to tell Franzen, look, third base. He had no play at home.
In between.
And he had the runner. I mean, you see the throw right here. It's a good relay throw. He hits Franzen right there. The momentum going toward home, but the shortstop's not even looking at any of the runners, and he casts it. If you look at the runner coming to third, he had him out by a mile if he throws it to third.
It's been scored a triple.
Work on it. They'll work on it tomorrow.
Phillies bring the infield in.
That's what I hated after spring training games. You can mark down all the mistakes you made, and you know you're going to be working on them the next day.
We had the Buddy Bell drill with the Cleveland Indians. You had to do 27 outs perfect before you get off the field. You had 2 different teams that would take the field. You had to have 27 in a row before you get your team off the field.
Short hopped at third and retired at first. Reed Johnson, good play by Galvis. Runner holds at third, 2 down. This telecast of MLB spring training on ESPN is presented by Head & Shoulders for Men. Live flake-free. 2 down here in the bottom of the 8th, 16-9. Tyler Pasternicki, one of the few who has played the entire day today. He's been on base 4 times, 2 hits, 2 walks. He's also flied out. We haven't mentioned the name of Paul Janisch yet, who's coming back from shoulder surgery. Terrific defensive player, specifically a shortstop, can play other spots as well. And Pasternicki spent a lot of time with Atlanta last year, but might be behind Janisch on the pecking order once Janisch gets healthy right now for a backup infield position. Whoa. Oh, he's making a good case for himself here today. Base hit, RBI, 17-9.
Well, Aaron Cook's a sinker slider guy, and that's a sinker that just stayed over the center of the plate. You love Pasternicki's approach. Even though he's a sinker, you can't sit there and say, I'm going to pull, pull, pull. To me, a sinker ball, you try to hit him up the middle because you don't know if it's going to be inside, outside. You think it's going to break into you, but that's when you just hit your hands inside out like he did right there and flick it up the middle for a base hit.
This is Jordan Perez getting an at bat.
What do you got on him, Oral?
I left that guy up to you.
Yeah.
He's a righty.
You
with
had
an open
A to
stance.
M, you had N to Z.
Yeah, he's a righty with an open stance.
Here we go. Jordan Edward Perez from Henderson, Nevada.
Pull hitter.
Grounds into a fielder's choice. And the inning is over. Jordan, we wish you'd given us another pitch or two, but it told everybody all about you. Welcome back to this telecast of MLB Spring Training on ESPN, presented by Head & Shoulders. Dan Schulman, John Kruk, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney. 17-9. The Braves scored in every inning today except the sixth. They got 6 in the first. Up from the minor league camp, right-hander Andrew Russell is in to pitch the 9th inning. John Mayberry Jr. leads it off. And Mayberry Jr. in all likelihood, it looks like looking at a part-time position with the Phillies right now, maybe getting most of his at-bats against lefties. He can play first. He can play the corner outfield spots. Checks the swing, and it's a ball and a strike. Mayberry last year hit .245, 14 home runs in 149 games. Hoping to carve out as big a role as he can. Checks it again from the side armor. No swing on the appeal. 2 balls and a strike.
I love these guys that come from the land down under to put tools in your bullpen, give you different looks.
Especially in the 9th inning of a 17-9 game.
Hard for you.
You're getting your first AB.
Hard for you guys to pick up the release point that first time around the order.
I tell you, as a left-hand hitter, I had trouble with those guys, Kent DeColvey, and
couldn't see around their body where it was coming from.
Well, you could see around Teeks. He was really skinny, but
yeah.
I still couldn't hit it. Because you're not used to looking down there.
Right.
It was 0-2 before you even thought about it.
Chop foul. Tomorrow, don't forget, we're in Clearwater, the Phillies and the Yankees, ESPN, 1 Eastern. And then Wednesday, we'll be in Tampa, Yankees and Red Sox, ESPN 2 at 1 Eastern. And we're opening up the regular season less than 2 weeks, 2 weeks from last night. The Texas Rangers against their new divisional rival, the Houston Astros. Before we have a trio of games on ESPN for you on opening day on Monday, we'll be in Los Angeles as the Dodgers host the Giants.
Quick trip to L.A.
Has Matt Harrison been announced to start that opener for Texas yet?
I don't know if that's official yet.
It's getting close.
There's ball 4. That'll bring up Ender Inciarte, who is a Rule 5 player. If you're not familiar with what the Rule 5 is, you can draft a player who's not on the 40-man roster of another team. I think you pay
$25,000.
I think you pay $50,000 to get him, and you've got to keep him with you the whole year, or offer him back to his original team for $25,000, or you can work out a deal. So sometimes, doesn't happen often, but sometimes teams elect to carry a player who usually probably was in like A-ball last year, but has a lot of raw ability, and you try to carry him as the 25th man on your roster for the right to basically get him for nothing, just a little bit of money in the future. And this is Inciarte. He is from Venezuela. He is 22 years of age. He's an outfielder, and the Phillies are intrigued by his possibilities.
Apparently he's made a big impression. I asked 3 coaches, how do you pronounce his name? And I got 3 different.
You know what? I think you're right. We talked to a lot of people, and I think Mick Billmeyer's our go-to guy on the Philly staff.
And that's pretty scary if you know Mick. English is his 4th language.
That's bad.
I love Mick. He knows I'm kidding. His family's watching too. They're up in Frederick, Maryland. Their family watches everything.
2-1.
Even when you're on?
Well, they don't watch me, no. Well, maybe they're not watching that. I forgot I was on.
Inciarte is a guy with speed at 46 steals last year. 5'10", 160. Ground ball to short. 1. And not in time. Beats it by a step.
There's your 9th inning pinch runner.
Could be.
Ryan Howard gets on. Make a roster being a pinch runner. Come down from the land down under. You get some ground balls. He got the ground ball he wanted. You see, trying to pick this up. John Kruk said this was hard for him off Kent Colby, but then a little ground ball, and he makes sure he doesn't turn it into 2 with his speed. Scampering down there, beats it by a step and a half.
That's what I used to do with it against Teak. Grounder to short.
Yep.
Wore out the shortstop.
Pounded into the ground.
Darren Ruff, the batter.
It's always great about giving up ground balls because, you bounce a breaking ball. The umpire takes the ball to play. You give up a ground ball, it goes around the infield after the out, and you get the ball back. You get to use the little scuff on that ball.
High fly ball to right field.
How would you know?
About how to use a scuff?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah.
I just held it anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Old wounds. Old wounds are tough to heal.
Well, 2 down here in the 9th inning, and a Betancourt.
Just hit the dry side.
Yeah. Problem is the dry side had the scuff in it.
Pitch to the backstop, and the runner up to second. (17-9), Atlanta leading Philadelphia. With 1 out left in the 9th inning. There's a base hit to center field. And Inciarte around third in to score easily on the RBI single by Betancourt. His 4th hit of the game. And now we officially have a football score, 17-10.
Yeah, Matt Ryan had a good game.
Yeah, he's got a nice contract now too.
The truck is baiting me into saying Falcons and Eagles, but I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So not going to do it.
You need to push your cough button before you say that again.
Grey Cup doesn't touch your fancy.
No.
Do you have extra points?
You get different football scores north of the border. You know that. In for a strike to Quintero.
Got 2 50-yard lines there, I think.
That's true. But as you well know, Mr. Hershiser, my favorite football team is an NFL team. You well know.
That is the Packers?
It is the Packers.
Yeah. You been there?
There you go, twice.
Twice?
Is that close to Canada or something?
That's
why.
It's north of me, actually. 0-2 the Canada.
It's colder than Canada.
Green Bay's north of where?
Of Toronto, sure is.
Yeah.
Sure it is.
I got to look at a map. For the first time.
You might want the overhead view. You want the overhead view, too.
How would that tell me if it's under? Wow, I didn't know that. I learned something today.
It's been a good day for you.
Yeah, both teams can score runs. And
a geography lesson. That's your ball game. Braves 17, Phillies 10. Here at ESPN Wide World of Sports. More action coming your way tomorrow. We'll be in Clearwater. 1 Eastern again here on ESPN as the Phillies host the New York Yankees. Then it's the Yankees and the Red Sox on ESPN2 on Wednesday afternoon. SportsCenter is coming up next.